The globe lie is the foundation for all of the other lies. Biology is a lie, history is a lie, and where we live is a lie told by the controllers. Everything they teach us is the opposite of the truth. It's inverted.
Like Elon Musk must be in on it.
He is. Or he's a total MK Ultra mind-controlled zombie.
I obey the program. My mind is controlled.
Nobody goes to space. They're hiding everything from us. They're hiding more land. They're hiding free energy. They're hiding our divinity. They're hiding resources. Why the lie? It's all about control. I think that this message is the one that will actually free us from this globe prison that we're in.
Once people know, like, they're no longer controllable, and that's
100%.
Just
if you don't fight back, you're literally allowing them to keep doing it to us. So this flight route alone proves who's lying about the map. Here's a little fact for you, and I got pilots from major airlines that all talk to me. They're flat earthers. We have these incredible manifestation abilities. Have you ever looked into the moon manifestation cycle?
No.
And I want you to try this, Brad, because it was going to work. It's going to blow your mind.
What it is, Bradley back again with another episode. This one's going to be a doozy, though, because we got David Weiss, flatearthdave.com. You can find him at the Flat Earth Podcast on Instagram. You may know who he is if you've never heard of him. Listen up, folks, because this individual says emphatically he doesn't think we live on a flat earth. He knows we do. Correct?
100%. And when you first hear that, you reject it. I rejected it. I had a podcast called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. And when people suggested flat earth, I just deleted, and then they'd say something else, watch this video, banned for life. I just wouldn't even look at it. And it wasn't until another researcher that I trust very much says, Dave, you have to look into this. And instead of looking into it with an open mind like you are today, I went in with a closed mind. Disprove flat earth, prove the globe, and get rid of all of these idiots. And that's how you become a flat earther, once you honestly take the time and look.
Okay, good. Well, because I do have an open mind. But again, I would not say I'm a flat earther yet. Could I become one? Certainly. But it wouldn't be from this conversation. Why? Well, because, maybe. I have an open mind. Let's see what happens. Gone anywhere yet. But I don't believe so. Because why? Because I'm so realistic and so open-minded that I know that even though you may have some compelling things to talk about, you haven't been to fucking space.
Nobody has. It's fake.
Well, again, people claim to have.
Of course.
Now, I personally do not believe we landed on the moon.
That's good.
When you look at that footage, it's stupid. Like, are you kidding me? And then they lost the technology. Bullshit. If you can get to the moon in 1969, you can do it again in 1980 and 1990 and 2000. And supposedly they haven't. And I just saw an interview the other day. And nowadays with AI, you can't trust anything you see. But I saw these astronauts that are now going back. They're finally going back.
In 2027, just 2 more years and we're going to be there.
Yeah, they're going back. And he says it was the first time.
Yep.
And he goes, this will be the first time we went on the moon. And it's like, uh-oh. And like, that's going viral because, like, why is he saying it's the first time?
Buzz Aldrin in 2 interviews said we didn't go.
I saw those. And then I also saw ones that combat them and said it was out of context, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm always going back and forth. Now,
Sure.
The reason why I wouldn't say I'm a flat earther, just because I've always been taught we live on a globe and there's planets. And when I look up at the moon, it looks like a fucking ball.
I think it is ball.
So then what is the moon?
I don't think it's a physical ball. I think it's a plasma ball. I think it's very close. If you look at the full moon, a bright moon, when there's spotted clouds in the sky, the moon's 250,000 miles away, they tell us. But you look, only the clouds right around it are lit up. The other ones are in the dark. If it's 250,000 miles away, it should light them all up.
See, like that I agree with.
Yeah.
Like, see what I mean? Like, that's what I mean. Like, dude, that's a good point.
The amount of evidence.
And the sun, by the way, when it's coming through the clouds.
Percuspular? I can't say the word right now. It'll come to me in a second. I'll scream it out later when we're talking about something else. Percuspular. Wow, I forgot the word. They spread out, right? But the globers will say, oh, it's just perspective. But even the ones that are going away from you, the ones that are going this way, they spread out. Well, that means they're spread out even more because you're seeing them being your perspective or bringing them together. If they were parallel, you'd see them like this. But we see them spreading out.
Yeah, so folks, for
Crepuscular. Thank you. I'm back.
Crepuscular.
Crepuscular.
Crepuscular. So David Weiss, former commercial solar development and finance company owner, left renewable energy business to become full-time flat earth advocate and app developer, claims to have built successful solar business, but provides no verifiable metrics, now focuses on promoting flat earth theory and content creation and a censorship bypassing app for connecting the flat earth believers. Just for context, you basically threw away the company to go be a flat earther.
I had two partners, and one partner had a problem with my truth journey because I was doing a podcast and it was causing some interference with the company. And then I asked God for a sign, God, which is new to me, in the last decade. And I got three signs in 2 days that just told me walk away. And I walked away from everything I worked my entire life to build, to talk to people about this topic. Dave, why are you just focused on flat earth? There's so many things, child trafficking and, all horrible things going on in the world, war and, starvation. The globe lie is the foundation for all of the other lies. If you can convince somebody that they're spinning out of control, they're in a random universe with hundreds of trillions of other worlds, you can convince them that breathing on grandma will kill her.
So let me start by asking, what is space then?
I don't know. Haven't been there, but I think space is water. I think that there's waters above and waters below, infinite waters. If you look at all NASA, everything they talk about in space is ships, docking, Sea of Tranquility, the spaceships. And if you look at some of the rockets that are going up, some of them look like they're skimming across water. If you look, like it's the same as looking down on a boat on the ocean. You're seeing the same thing. We had a NASA whistleblower that was communicating with me just via email, and I verified, who he was and who he dealt with, and he says that there is at about 72 miles up, it becomes like a thick plasma, then it becomes liquid, I think he said, and then it becomes solid. He says, but NASA, we have the ability to go up there and investigate, but we're forbidden to. When I asked him who forbid him, people in NASA or somebody above NASA, he stopped responding.
How can they stop us?
How can they stop us from what?
How can they stop us? Forbid us?
Well,
they forbid us to do cocaine, but that don't stop us.
Going to space.
How do they forbid us to go?
How are you going to go? How are you going to go up there without
build a fucking rocket?
Build a rocket's not that easy. There are some independent people built a rocket called the Go Fast rocket. It was sponsored by Red Bull, and they shot it up in Arizona. And at 72 miles up, it went kerplunk, and it stopped spinning, and it stuck into something, kind of moving like through a viscous medium. And then it fell. And that's one thing, so it hit something. But the other thing was it was over Arizona. And as the camera turned on its side, we could see the black sky and we could see the moon. But the moon was over Australia at that time. So if the Earth was a basketball, that rocket was like a millimeter above the basketball, and the moon was a marble below the basketball. How did it see it?
Well, assuming that is a fact, because with AI, you might have saw a video that was bullshit.
Well, it was from, when was that? 1980 or 90? I don't know the exact date, but sure. It used to be, I think AI has been released because too much truth is coming out, truth about things that the people in the government do, and, Epstein and everything. So now they can just claim, AI. Used to be, you go to court, you have the video evidence, you're done, rock solid. That's the proof. Now video evidence is useless.
So you said you didn't believe in God before?
Well, so this is the thing. We're taught about the heliocentric system before we can talk. Your parents probably put a mobile of planets over your crib. You had NASA sheets. Sesame Street had astronauts on there. One of the first things you learn in school is the Earth goes around the sun, the moon goes around the Earth. And they literally put globes in every class. So they're teaching you why your brain just absorbs for the first 7 years of your life. And that becomes the foundation of your life. All the movies, they're all about space, and every kid wants to be an astronaut. There's a reason for this, because it keeps you off kilter. It keeps you lost in the I call nonsensical model. It keeps you away. So I believed, in science and everything. And when I was a teenager, I was born in a non-practicing Jewish family. And all my friends were in junior high. They were going to go on a trip with Young Life, which is a young Christian organization. They were going to Bermuda. And I was like, I want to go. My mom's like, you can go. And so I went. And the first day we're there, we go for this hike up to this cliff. And the counselor kind of sits us all down. He goes, we're going to do a little Bible study. And I'm like, well, it's a little weird, right? Never opened a Bible a day in my life.
Was it Jewish?
It wasn't Jewish. It was Christian.
Okay.
And I just went because it was a vacation in Bermuda with friends, and it was just a getaway for kids. And the first passage he reads was that the stars, I think it was Daniel or something, the stars fell to the earth. Now, being a heliocentric believer, a star can't fall to the earth. A star is a million times bigger than the earth, and it will just eat the earth. And from that point on, I disregarded the Bible and all religions for the next 45 years. So that incident alone kept me away from believing anything in the Bible.
So at what point did you start believing?
So I got to the point where I tried to disprove the flat earth and prove the globe. And I came to the undeniable conclusion that it is flat. And if it's flat, we're enclosed, and that can't come from a big bang. That has to come from a creator. So I remember the exact moment when I realized there is no choice but there to be a creator. There's a verse in the Bible that says, something paraphrasing, once you see my creation, the earth, you can no longer deny my existence. So the elite that are running this world, I'll call them the elite, but whatever you want to call them, they don't want you in a situation where you can't deny creation. Heliocentric model, you can say, oh, there's a big bang, God did it, or there's just a big bang, which is just a made up story by a Jesuit priest. And so that's one of the reasons why they hide this. They're hiding God. They're hiding the truth. I always say that you can't live to your full potential if you're spinning out of control, lost in space. And, people like you and the people that you associate with and the people on your podcast, they're all doing very well. And they're doing better than lots of other people in the world. And, and I agree with all the stuff you talk about. I talk about it all the time, that your thoughts create your reality, but even more so than you may understand. But if you understood where we were and what this place is better than you do, you'd be doing even better. With all, you had some very wealthy people on there. They don't know what to do with their money, but if they knew that maybe there was more land, maybe there was other places, maybe, we can bring back airships from the past. There used to be airships that hold thousands of people that traveled around the earth, across the earth, not around. So we should go back a little bit and just talk about some of the reasons why people think the earth is a globe and show you how that's just a misconception.
Well, I would argue that the only reason people think it's a globe is because they were taught that.
We were told that. We weren't taught it. We were told it.
Right. So, yeah. That's the only reason, because Galileo and some of these old, who knows if those stories are true, but they determined it somehow.
These are stories from the past. Do you ever meet Galileo? I haven't.
No.
So, these are stories by the victors.
I haven't met Kentucky Fried Chicken founder Sanders either.
Me neither.
I believe in Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah. Where these are stories that we're told that support the lie. Do you believe in dinosaurs? I see. Is that a dinosaur? No, it's a rhinoceros.
It's a rhinoceros, but it's the closest thing still living to a dinosaur.
I think that there were giant animals, not to get off track, but they lived with men, and not that long ago. So again,
it couldn't have been that long ago, because according to the Bible, we're only 6,000 years old.
I think it could be younger. We don't know.
So when you look at all the scientific dating, carbon dating, things like that. Well, it says it's millions of years old.
It's millions and billions. It's absolutely ridiculous. You can look through the strata that says this is a million years, and this is a billion years, but then there's a tree growing up through the whole thing, fossilized, going through the whole thing. Biology is a lie. History is a lie told by the victors, and where we live is a lie told by the controllers. Do
you think the elite are satanic?
I think so.
Well,
it appears to be. And the
what other
heliocentric
purpose would they have?
The heliocentric model is a satanic model. If you look at all the math, there's all 666s in there. I don't know what that means, but there's too many. There's dozens and dozens of them. The Earth curves at 6.666 feet per mile. Is that right? Yeah. 8 inches per mile squared. So there's just all of the measurements. We're We're orbiting at 66,600 miles an hour. There's just too many.
Well, again, I mean, that's just, to me, that's hard to believe. Like flat earth is easy to believe because of the evidence that you just, look around and it looks flat, and like it's easier to believe that it's flat than that bullshit.
No, I agree. I'm just saying there's all of the heliocentric model. If you understood it, do you know what the 3-body problem is?
The 3-body
The 3-body problem. You can take a supercomputer and say, all right, I've got a sun, or we'll just call it a sun that has this much mass. I've got a planet that's got this much mass, and you can put them into orbit. And the computer will predict what it's going to do forever. You can say what it's going to be doing a week from now and 100 years from now, and it's correct. Add a third body in there, another planet, another sun, a moon, whatever, and the thing goes into full chaos mode, and no computer can figure out what it's going to do next. That's just 3 bodies, right? We live in a solar system with dozens and dozens of bodies, in a galaxy with millions and billions of bodies, but for some reason, it acts like a perfect clock. We have eclipses every year. And after every 18 years, that entire cycle repeats again. We should all be dead every time there's a planetary alignment. Why don't the planetary alignments pull on each other, tug on each other? How can the sun, made of helium and hydrogen that defy gravity, somehow have gravity in a space vacuum? So you got gas in a vacuum. That's another problem. And it could hold on to Pluto, which is so far away we can't see it. But it ignores our moon. When our moon comes around the sun, around the earth towards the sun, how come it doesn't get speed up and slow down as it goes away? None of it makes any sense when you actually think about it. You asked me earlier, and I keep wanting to bring this up and I keep forgetting, is everybody in on it, right? Well, how do you become a teacher, Brad? You memorize and you regurgitate what's in the textbooks. You don't question it, and you get an A, and you can become a teacher. I don't think teachers are lying. They're just memorizers and regurgitators. That's not education. You got to think for yourself.
That's not who I meant. I meant like Elon Musk must be in on it.
He is.
So Elon Musk.
Or he's a total MK Ultra mind controlled zombie. I couldn't tell you which one, but there's.
What about Richard Branson?
Again, he's either being fooled himself or he's in on it. And there are financial rewards of being in on it. If you just look at the billionaires club that go to space, did you watch Katy Perry go to space in Jeff Bezos's rocket, in his penis shaped rocket?
I watched the landing of it.
Yeah.
And I also watched the landing of that space shuttle that supposedly hit the ocean, and they were there to save it. And there was dolphins.
Yeah, that was when they came back. Dolphins. If you watch that carefully, I broke it down. It's total AI. It's complete AI. The straps, which are these big straps to the parachutes, just disappear. They just vanish, and then they come back again. And the boats coming around, their props aren't getting tied up in this thing. It is a total AI nonsense. Total nonsense. You watch those ships, you watch Elon's rockets, the bottom half lands on a raft, always 250, 800 miles offshore, off of Florida, right? It lands upright, like this, right? On a raft in the middle of the ocean with nobody there. And every single time the camera glitches out just before it's landing. It's the dumbest thing ever. With $50, I could do better. I can make it look way better than they do. But they get $80 million a day.
Funding.
NASA's budget. Now NASA is winding down. Private companies like Elon Musk's, SpaceX are taking over because they're private and they don't have to disclose stuff when asked.
So you would bet that Elon Musk is in on it.
So I go back and forth. Either he's in on it or he's so mind controlled that he doesn't even know anything. He might just be, here's the problem. People love heroes. People love rich people. People love people that, look like they're changing the world. Elon Musk is not that person. Who said it? Somebody said, when they need a hero, we will supply the hero. Well, they supplied Elon Musk. Everything he said in his life, he was born poor, false. He started PayPal, false. He started Tesla, false. Tesla is just loses money constantly. And he's not who he says he is. And if you can believe in Elon or you can watch the videos carefully with an open mind, what he's showing us, I could show you a rocket launch that Elon did. And if I didn't tell you it was an Elon rocket launch, you would say that's the worst B movie I've ever seen. I'd ask for my money back because it's so fake. And you just look at it. I don't think it's fake. You know it's fake because it's defying the laws of physics, and the graphics are horrible. Even Elon himself said when he sent his Tesla into space, you can tell it's real because it looks so fake. That was the damage control they had to come up with.
That's what he said.
You can tell. That's an exact quote.
So I wish I should have hired a fact checker.
You can,
because I don't know everything you've claimed. I don't know that that's true either.
Here's the thing. And people are lazy. Even you're lazy. Everyone's lazy because you want to find the easiest way to do things. And believing is the easiest way, right? So nobody wants to take the time to verify.
I would if I was a billionaire.
No, I got it. But I don't want anyone to believe anything I'm saying. Take a note and take the time and research it. And I've, on my app, the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, I've made it so you can find all that stuff. Google will not serve it to you. Google will not serve you all the documentaries on Flat Earth. They'll serve you the ones against Flat Earth. Even if you search Flat Earth Dave, proof, whatever, they're going to feed you nonsense. They're going to feed you stuff that tries to make it look bad. But in reality, it's just making more flat earthers. People see it and go, that's not right. Then they go to my website, flatearthdave.com. And this is what I say. I have a challenge. I told you 3 Bitcoins for 1 globe proof. Just one simple, scientific, exclusive to the globe proof. And on my app, there's a daily video. I just say, while you're having your tea or coffee, watch that video every day for 2 weeks, then supply a proof to me. But before you do that, before you waste my time, go to the frequently asked questions page on the app, and it's probably answered there. And you could look at it and go, oh, you know what? That does make sense. It does work on a flat earth. It doesn't make sense on a globe. Or you can just go to my website, scroll down. It says crash course. And in that is a list of videos on YouTube that Google will never serve to you. Watch the first 5. And if you do, you can be hated by your family and friends too and made fun of. You'll be a flat earther.
I was going to ask that. So when you walked away from your company and you finally were convinced that we're living on a flat earth and decided to go tell the world, which is either courageous or stupid, one of the two, how much shit do you get on a regular basis?
Well, when I first became a flat earther in 2014, you can go up to anybody and say, hey, have you ever hear about flat earth? And they would ridicule you. They would say you're dumb. They would just attack you and everything. But now in 2025, almost 2026, you can mention flat earth to anybody. And, a lot of times they'll go, I've heard something about that. Can you answer this? So the conversations are out there. They're having, it's growing. And once you go become a flat earther, you can't unsee it, right? I was exposing, a lot of other deceptions, and people just go right back to sleep. But when I found out, once you see the flat earth, all of a sudden you can start seeing everything else. Right?
What did you see?
Well, what do you mean? You can start seeing through their lies. You can start seeing, you watch the news like that's fake. The story about we're going to Mars, that's fake. And you can see, when they talk about nuclear war and stuff, war is real. Bombs are real. Nuclear bombs are not real. Have you looked into the nuclear bomb hoax?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, that's another thing. On my website, flatearthdave.com, there's a nuclear bomb banner. Just go listen to that, research it yourself, and you'll understand that nuclear bombs are to keep people living in fear, false evidence appearing real. Fear is the only way they can control us. You asked me earlier, how come they don't just take me out? I don't believe that they can unless I live in fear and allow them to. And I don't live in fear at all. I used to be afraid of everything. But now I'm, a few years ago, 10 years ago, I could never speak on a microphone to anybody. I was petrified. I'm sitting in here with you. I'm completely relaxed and we're having a conversation. This is probably my 1400th interview since 2022. And I think that this message is the one that will actually free us from this globe prison that we're in.
What would be the benefit to make us all believe that we're living on a ball?
So there's a saying that he who created it owns it. So God created the earth, and nature doesn't lie. So if we live in nature, there's God's law, natural law. Basically, don't kill anybody, and be good. But if they make you believe that you live on a ball, that's their ball field. You have to play by their ball field rules, and they can make up any rules that they want because you're playing on their ball field. And if you live on their ball field, you're living in a world of fear, lack, shortages, everything. So picture people that have never looked into flat Earth. Again, everything you know about flat Earth, you don't know. It's incorrect. You were fed bad information. Imagine Australia. You live in Australia. You've never been outside of Australia. And 300 miles off the shore of Australia, they draw a circle. And they say nobody can go beyond 300 miles. 300 miles is really far out to sea. And so if you start getting out there, there's military ships out there that say, nope, stop, don't go out here.
Are there?
Well, I'm making an analogy. About Australia. So then they take that map of Australia, which is just a 300-mile circle, around the shoreline of Antarctica, and they wrap it around a ball. And they create a continent at the bottom, and they say, you're not allowed to independently explore this continent. Well, you would never know about Africa, Europe, America, anywhere else. You wouldn't know about Hawaii. You wouldn't know about anywhere because that would be your entire world. Well, that's what they did with the globe. They took the flat Earth. Antarctica is the shoreline that surrounds our world pond. Large bodies of water at rest. Anything more than 4 millimeters needs a container. Right? A water drop is round, yes. Anything deeper than 4 millimeters needs a container. My tea needs a container. Without the container, it's going to spread out over the table. The container of our oceans is Antarctica. Antarctica is the highest average height of a continent on Earth. That's what they tell us, right? The second highest is less than half of what Antarctica is. Antarctica is the shoreline of our wall. So they talk about the ice wall, right? And Game of Thrones has people thinking that there's an ice wall that you can piss off the end, No, Antarctica is the shoreline of our world. Now, I'm not even sure if it goes all the way around equally. It might go out much farther. It may. We do not know, but it is a container of our world, and there's no free and independent exploration beyond 60 degrees south, which is long before you even get to Antarctica. Why is that? Why do all of the countries in the world, when they say that there's resources out there, coal and oil and gold and everything, and all the countries in the world agree nobody can explore independently? Isn't that weird?
Well, what's more weird is people that are hearing things like this that have money and ships, someone just doesn't go.
They've tried it, and they've sunk ships. They've put people in jail. They've turned them around. Nobody can independently explore Antarctica. You can go for, $10,000, $30,000, $40,000 for a couple of days. They'll show you some ice and some penguins. They'll put you out on that peninsula, and then they kick you out. There's no independent exploration.
It like guided?
Yeah, guided. Basically, they just take you where they want you to go. And I think that Antarctica is far bigger than all of the rest of the world combined. So it's a big place.
So what did Admiral Byrd find?
He said he went beyond the South Pole. Now, beyond the South Pole from where he came from would put him between Australia and Africa. And he says there's land bigger than America. Don't you think the Australians and the Africans would have seen that no one has ever set eyes upon? Filled with resources.
Where was he when he saw that?
He was in just on the shoreline of Antarctica.
How would he know it's so big then?
Business owners, listen up. If your business needs more money, and it will, banks aren't built to move quick. They'll make you fill out a ton of paperwork, wait for a decision, and by that time, the opportunity has passed you by. So if you want bank rates without bank delays, you need to check out Cardiff. Cardiff's been helping businesses get same-day funding for over 20 years. We're talking up to $500,000 approved and funded, quicker and easier than the big banks. You can apply online in under 2 minutes and get funded as fast as the same day. So whether you need quick money to bridge a gap, do more marketing, get some equipment, or even hire more people, I'm telling you, apply today at cardiff.co. Stop letting slow money cost you opportunities that move fast. There's no impact on your personal credit, so go to cardiff.co and apply. Subject to approval, terms and rates vary. Cardiff. Borrow better.
Well, he doesn't. He went
across. It's bigger than the United States.
So he went across and then saw all this land. Now, how they had enough fuel to go all the way around and see that, I couldn't tell you. But that's his story, and it's not exclusive. It's actually exclusive to a flat Earth. It doesn't make any sense on a globe. On a globe, when you pass the North Pole or the South Pole, you just come up to the other side. You can go from Santiago to Australia, just zip, right across the bottom. Right here, I have an image I want to show you. It's an airplane route. So the people say Flat earthers have stolen their map from the globe. They just projected it out. They just projected it and made a flat earth. We say they took the Gleason's map and they wrapped it around a ball and told us that's where we live. So how can we tell which one is the truth? So here's the globe model. And down here, we have right around the corner is New Zealand. And over here is Argentina. Flight from New Zealand to Argentina would just cut across the bottom of the ball. Agreed? That's what FlightAware says would be the shortest route. But instead, it goes all the way up across the equator, all the way to San Francisco, then across to Texas, and then all the way back down to Argentina. Now, that doesn't make any sense. But if you look at it on a flat Earth map, it's a perfectly straight line. So this flight route alone proves who's lying about the map.
Again, I mean, when I see those, that's why when I say I'm open-minded, I'm like, hey, well, again, who can explain that?
Yeah. And
can anyone explain that? Like, folks, listen, put it in the comments if you can explain the flight paths, because I've heard several of the flight path. And if you ask me, that's probably the most convincing to me, is because, like, number one, it's on record. Like, you can go to flight records and see that, like, a plane took off from here, had an emergency, landed here, and then continued and finally made its destination. When you put it on a globe, it meant that they flew up like this, had an emergency, and flew 1,000 miles this way.
Here's
one, and then next thing you know, they continue, and it's like, wait a minute, nobody would have an emergency and fly 1,000 miles that way. They would just try to land below them. But when you put it on a flat Earth map, you see that it was a direct line.
There's dozens of documented emergency landings, Chicago to Doha. And right over here, they had an emergency and they went about 1,500 miles out of the way. They got there in like 15 minutes, which is impossible. But if you look at it on a flat Earth, Moscow is directly on a straight line between those 2 points.
So do flat earthers believe that outside circle is Antarctica? And that's the wall that keeps us contained?
Well, I wouldn't, if you had a wall that was 10 feet thick, that's a nice 10-foot thick wall. If it was hundreds of miles thick, is that a wall or is that something else? Is that a continent? I don't like calling it an ice wall.
I call it that would be a edge.
Well, it's like a lake. If you're in a lake in 300-mile around lake in Kansas, the shoreline of the lake is holding the water in. So if you get to the edge, first, can you fall off? Because people say, don't you fall off the edge of the earth? No, you step up onto the land. We'll call all of the rest of Kansas Antarctica.
Yeah, but if we live on a flat earth, there is an edge.
Well, there is an edge. Where is it? I haven't seen it.
On the far side of that ring.
What if it's 1,000,000 miles farther?
Well, it could be, but I mean, if it's flat earth, there is an edge.
Is there?
How can there not be?
Well, does space have an edge? The space that, we're told we live in
doesn't exist.
Well, in the heliocentric model, they tell us that space is expanding into what? And so it's crazy what they tell us. We're not making a claim if there's an edge. There could be.
Dude, if there's an edge, then it's flat for sure.
Well, how would we know? What if it's 1,000,000 miles farther? What if there is a firmament that connects down? What if we're in for lack of a better term, a snow globe type enclosure? Now, the Bible says it's a crystal firmament, a solid expanse.
But that alone tells you that there's an end then.
Again, we're speculating because we can't go there. We don't need to speculate. We can prove, as you said earlier, that we can see too far. We can see far beyond the limitations of that a globe would that's require.
Just some dumbass gave the wrong measurements to a globe. Because, like, for example, how can you measure the globe?
Well, they told us that Eratosthenes did it with his sticks and shadows back 2,000 years ago. That's the one that everybody defaults to. You remember that story? Eratosthenes noticed one day that he can see the sun at the bottom of a well. So that told him that the sun is directly above him. Good observation, verifiable, true. Then he said, he theorized, he knew the earth was a globe, which is also false, that if he had a buddy 500 miles away, put a stick in the ground vertical, he could measure the angle of the shadow and figure out how much the earth was tilted, and figure out by using really good math to figure out the circumference of the earth. That's what we're all taught in school. But the truth is, in the flat earth model, the sun is small and local. So if I had two sticks right here, and I held a light over one of them, there's no shadow, and this one will have a shadow. I could do the same math and figure out the sphericity of this table.
Well, when it comes to the edge, like see this table?
Yeah.
It's flat.
Yeah.
It's got an edge.
Well, what if we lived on a little plate right here in the middle, just like a foot around, and we're not allowed to go out here? We can only speculate. Maybe there is an edge.
Well, there
Maybe
has to be.
Well, what if everything else beyond that is just frozen water? I don't know.
Right, but there has to be an edge unless it infinitely goes out.
Okay, there you go. Now there's two options. So now there doesn't have to be an edge.
Well, I'm just saying it would have to go infinitely.
Okay, we don't know.
Well, then we don't live on a flat Earth. We live on a flat plane.
A flat plane, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, Earth makes people think a confined amount of space. So to me, if we live on a plane, means it just goes on forever. Well, that may be, but again, to me, a flat earther must believe there's an edge, or it goes on forever. You cannot believe that we live on a flat earth and then there's no edge, unless you believe it goes on forever, because it has to. Hence, I mean, it's a flat earth.
Again, we can measure the earth. The sky is a whole nother thing, but I think we live in a double toroid and we live on the plane of inertia.
See, there's an edge there.
Well, this is the edge where we live. We don't know what's out here. We don't know. Again,
but there's an edge to the earth.
Sure. But it's not anywhere where we have access to. So saying that cats are going to push everything off the edge is, just.
How do you explain a plane leaving Los Angeles, circumnavigating the globe and coming back to Los Angeles?
Yeah. So when you look at, I'll just show you here. So on the flat earth, the center is the North Pole. It's a magnetic North Pole, right? The sun and the moon circle around that North Pole, spiraling in and out at different rates, right? So on a globe, think about this. Think about this, Brad. If there was a actual pole at the North Pole and four of us were there and we had our backs to the pole, right? We all are facing in opposite directions with our backs to the North Pole. What direction are we facing? North is behind us. So what's in front of us?
South.
South is that way, that way, that way, and that way. Because north is in the center. If I put a magnet on this table and no matter where I put the compass, south would be away from the magnet.
If north was the pole.
If north was the pole, North Pole, it's not exclusive to either model, right? If I put the compass away from the North Pole, the compass would point to the magnet, correct? So west
until you moved a minute, and then
west would be 90 degrees to that. Agreed? East would be 90 degrees that way, west would be 90. So if I started moving, I can't go in a straight line. I have to turn to maintain a heading of west. So west is a circle around the magnetic center. East is a circle in the opposite direction. That's not exclusive to either model.
So with your finger, go from Los Angeles and go around the globe. So what you're saying is they don't go around the globe. They go in a circle.
They go in a circle on both models. So on both models, they go in a circle. So here's the Gleason's map. Let me just make it a little bigger, right? So Los Angeles, if I went west, I'd go over here, through China, all the way around, and I'd come right back to where I started from.
Yeah, but what if you directly head that way?
If I head this way and I don't turn, I'm going south. South is away from north.
So no one's ever done that?
No, people have. If you dead reckon east or west, you end up going south on a globe and on a flat earth. It's the same.
Yeah, but no one's ever done that?
No, people have done that.
Did they end up in New York and then go back over the United States?
No, nobody. That's what I was getting to. Billions of people have circumnavigated east and west. 0 people have gone south. No one's gone from Santiago south and popped up over in Australia. No one's ever done it. Well, you can't because it's too far from an airport and Antarctica's too cold and we don't want to disturb the penguins. These are the excuses. The globe is filled with lies and excuses that make you weak. Flat Earth has truth that makes you strong.
Well, you might owe me 3 Bitcoins, so hold on.
Go ahead.
So are you telling me that nobody...
Do you want to double it, 6 Bitcoins, but you owe me 1 if you're wrong?
No.
Okay.
Because this is just a question.
Yeah.
You leave Los Angeles and you head... What you're saying is south.
No, south would be that way. All of these lines
Okay,
radiate, they're all
direct-
south.
Okay, any direction, I don't care, as long as you do not change direction.
Will be south.
Okay, so go south, you're going to hit an edge eventually. You're
Well,
not going
how
to.
about I'll leave Los Angeles west and I keep going straight, and now I'm going south.
Yeah, so keep going, and now keep going. Now
Antarctica.
you will never come back.
Nobody's ever done it.
So no one's ever circumnavigated the globe, is what you're saying.
No one's ever circumnavigated south. South. That's exclusive to a globe, but no one's ever done it.
So again, I'd like to fact check that. But
You-
if that's the case, like these are the things like why I'm open-minded, because if that's true, well, then my question would be, what's up, NASA? What's up, government? What's up, Elon? We can do that. We can fly a plane the same direction completely around. And if you come completely around, that would be the proof you're looking for, and you'd owe that person 3 Bitcoin.
So they did a Pan Am flight years ago from the North Pole. It went down like through California, then it went down to like Santiago, then it went down around the South Pole, then it came back up Africa, around Madagascar, and back to the North Pole. But all they did was they went from the North Pole, they went down here, they just went out to Antarctica a little bit, they turned around, and they came right back up here on a globe that looks like a South Circle.
Yeah, but they didn't see out of the left-hand window all those continents.
They did as they went by them, but then
Well,
they were
then-
flying over ice for a little while. And so that's what they're thinking, that they're going over Antarctica.
Well, they'd have to fly the ice all the way back around.
Nope,
to make
they
sense.
just come down here, they cut over, and they come right back up this way. It's on a flat Earth. It
I know,
works
but
perfectly.
if the goal is to come across, when they fly this way and they go, that's Russia. Oh, well, then we didn't come across. Because like what I'm saying is, like the equator, starting on the equator, wherever there's an equator. Where's the equator?
Equator's right here.
Okay, so start on the equator.
Yep.
And now fly around the equator. That's supposedly the center of the planet.
Supposedly 24,901 miles around.
Well, then that's how big the Earth is.
Well, that's what they say. I don't believe it. I think it's actually...
I know, but nobody's ever flown the equator.
You can, but the only way to measure your distance over water is with NASA's GPS. Do you trust NASA? Everyone uses GPS, but we're not allowed to see the code. It's not open
Can't you
source.
just use a compass?
A compass will just make you go perfectly around the center point, flat or globe. Here's the issue. You always have to correct to the north when heading west on a globe and on a flat Earth in the northern hemisphere. In the southern hemisphere, you'd have to start correcting to the left to go around the South Pole. But there's been Navy ship captains that all talk about when they're heading east or west in the southern oceans, they always have to correct to the north. Now, hearsay, I'm not there, and it's not proof. It's a story.
Yeah. Well, like I told you, I would want the Earth to be flat for only one reason, because if the Earth was flat and there was a firmament, that would be all the confirmation a lot of people would need to know there's a creator.
How about this? You are, I've been listening to a lot of your podcasts, and you're a God-believing man, right? How would you label your spirituality? Just,
I believe there's a creator.
okay. You've probably had that belief much longer than I have. I've only had it for 10 years, and it's changed my life completely. But I have zero doubt that there couldn't be a creator. I 100% know there's a creator. They don't want people like me around. They don't want everybody knowing that. If this podcast went viral and all 8 billion people, I think there's far less, watched it.
You think there's far less?
I think there's far less. They're lying. I just flew here from Connecticut. All right. There's nothing. It's just nothing.
Well, when they say that like there's no room, again, that is bullshit. Like
Yeah.
just fly across Nevada, dude. There is a fuck ton of real estate.
I think the statistic is every family in the world could have a 1/4 acre in Texas, and part of Texas would be empty. That's if there's 8 billion people. You know, don't quote me on the math, but it's ridiculous. If you put everybody into one area, gave them enough room to live, the entire world would be empty. So again,
So why do they think there's too many people?
Well, they don't. It's all about living in fear and lack and letting, you know, if you live in fear, you can, oh, government, please come help me. And they're like, okay, well, we don't want you using too much carbon, right? Carbon that everything is built on. They want to restrict us. They don't want us living in nature. They want us in their 15-minute cities. They want us completely tracked and traced with this digital ID that they're just going to issue to all of us very soon without us even asking for it. It's all about control. It's all about control.
Do the presidents of the nations know?
Some do, like Obama, and when he was in president, he mentioned Flat Earth, the Flat Earth Society, which is a government-controlled website that makes you, if you go there, you end up laughing at Flat Earth and never looking again. So
if you do what?
It makes you. It's a nonsense website about Flat Earth. It's a tiny little bit of truth, and then just nonsense. It says the Earth is rising at 9.8 meters per second, which causes gravity. Which is, think about it, doesn't make any sense. So he mentioned that at least half a dozen times in speeches. So.
Well, he also said, "My Michael,
Mama Michael, yeah, of course,
yeah,
right."
I don't necessarily believe the leaders, but I'm wondering if they have knowledge.
I think
this is
some
what I
of
mean
them
by
do.
how do they keep everybody quiet? How do they keep those astronauts quiet? How do they keep
That's a
the
great
space
question.
station people quiet?
Yeah.
Is there a space station?
There is no space station. Now, we do see a light in the sky, and we could take the time and look at what we see and what we would see if it was what they said, and none of it lines up.
So all these Hubble telescopes and powerful telescopes are bullshit.
Total nonsense.
So
now we can
Atlas
see
is bullshit.
Total bullshit. Now it could be there are lights in the sky, comets, and symbol signs in the sky that tell us things that are going to happen biblically. I haven't seen 3i Atlas yet, and most people haven't. You haven't. It could just be, when I say comet, it's not when they tell us a comet's this big icy ball coming through the solar system. It's not. It's a sign in the sky. When we zoom in, we have telescopes. Flat earthers have high-end telescopes, and we can zoom in on galaxies and stuff. But these things are close. They're not far away, and we can prove it. In the app,
then why doesn't somebody fucking get in a ship and go there?
Because there are no ships. Nobody goes to space. I know that's hard to believe, but it's not. Have you looked into the Challenger astronauts, the ones that blew up in 1986? They're all alive.
I've seen, the conspiracy, quote unquote,
it's
about them, and they are quite interesting. Like that does look like them. That is interesting. But again, I don't know that that's real or somebody made it.
6 of the 7 have been found, identified, same name, same age, no record of having a twin. Some of them claim there's a twin. There's actually some lawsuits that are coming up where they might even be able to be subpoenaed into court. The people that are saying that they're not them. It's going to be very interesting. But again, I don't have any high hopes for the courts ever exposing anything.
Well, let me ask you some questions.
Please.
What is the mathematical model of the flat Earth?
It's level, stationary, non-spinning, and that's it. We can see.
You have no dimensions.
Well, we don't know the dimensions because we can't measure the oceans accurately. We can prove that the south is bigger than the north, when they should be equal, equal lengths.
Then how would you explain them? People able to predict eclipses to the minute for thousands of years.
Yeah, well, they're not predicting them. They're just following patterns. There's a thing called the Antikythera mechanism that was found off of Greece. It's a geared computer that's over 2,000 years old, and they MRI'd it and X-rayed it, and they rebuilt it, and it perfectly predicts the patterns of the eclipses. So if the Earth was a heliocentric solar system by gravity, with everything pulling on each other, would it ever repeat? No, it would never repeat. We'd go into chaos orbits and stuff, but the eclipses come in a cycle called the Soros cycle every 18 point something years, and they repeat exactly again and again and again.
Well, it's just when you talk to, let's call it heliocentric believers, they always have predictable equations. Flat earthers seem to have no mathematical predictable equations.
That's not true. They're using these patterns, and you can make math to describe anything. You can take a pattern and just create math that matches that pattern. When you look at the eclipses, the chances that the sun is 400 times bigger and 400 times farther than the moon. That's why they look like they're the same size, right? because it's 400 times bigger, 400 times farther, or maybe they're just the same size. The chances of them lining up perfectly are so astronomical, but let's pretend it happens once. Can it happen again? Can it happen multiple times a year? Does it happen in a pattern?
It can if you're going around it like
yeah,
this.
but again, Jupiter's over here and Mars is over here and the sun is moving. All these gravities pulling in different directions. Nothing would ever repeat. It would be like throwing a rock into a beehive and saying those are the orbits of the planets.
Well, again, what's interesting to me is, number one, if you forget who taught you anything in science and you just throw it all out the window and you just go with intuition. I don't feel like I'm spinning that fast. And if you take a scientific exercise and you take a ball and put water on it and you spin it as fast as you motherfucking want to. It doesn't have
gravity. They'll say that it doesn't have gravity.
If you spin it as fast as you want to, shit's flinging off of it, period, every time.
Right.
So if that's their explanation, well, there's gravity. Okay, so the gravity sticks us to the globe. Okay, great. I still don't feel like I'm spinning.
Right.
Period. Now, why don't the stars change? They've been the same stars for thousands of years. How come the North Star, which is right above the pyramid, how come it's still there?
Yeah.
Supposedly, if we're cruising through this infinite spiraling, universe. So you would think the stars would change, because if I get in my car and I drive to California, the shit changes, the scenery changes. So you would think it would change. What I've heard, and again, I'm not down these rabbit holes. I'm just asking you because you might be. Why aren't the stars changing would be my question to a globalist. And the only thing I've heard one say is because we don't see the star, we see the light from it, and the light takes millions of years to get
billions.
Here. Yeah, so that's why, because we only live 100 years. If you live a million years, you would see it change. But because all we're looking at is the light from the past.
I say cool story, bro. So light, when it goes, it spreads out. It's called the inverse. It spreads out according to the inverse square law. So as the farther away you get, the thinner it gets. The analogy I give is, if I had a balloon, I just put a little air in it. That rubber is the light. And if I blew it up to 2 feet wide, that rubber is pretty thin. If I blew it up to 100 feet wide, could you even see the rubber? So the same thing happens with light. It spreads out and spreads out. It doesn't laser come towards us for billions of years. That's what they want you to believe. But they say that when the pyramids were built, that, the earth is wobbling. Brad, check this out. They say the earth is wobbling, right? And a 26,000 year cycle, 1 degree per every 72 years. And they say 2,000 years ago, when whenever the pyramids were built, that it was lined up with another star called Thuban, and that was our North Star. And we just happen to live now when it points at Polaris. And in 2,000 years, it'll point towards somewhere else. Cool story, but we no way to verify it because we're not going to be here for 2,000 years. So they say that we're so far away, even though we're traveling 4.5 billion miles a year, never to return to where we were before. And we're going 186 million miles from one side of the sun to the other every year. It's so far away, there's no parallax, right? Parallax is when things move like this, when you see things move in the distance. Cool story. But the wobble of the earth, that would get rid of parallax, because if we're wobbling, it's like when you're zooming in on something and you move the camera a little bit, everything just moves in the distance. Well, they say 1 degree every 72 years. 1 degree is 2 to 3 full moon widths in the sky. So if I had 2 full moons side by side, I'm trying not to make the 666 symbol so people don't freak out. That would be a degree. Now, have you heard of the Georgia Guidestones?
Yes.
All right. The Georgia Guidestones were an astronomical calendar and clock. And there's a thin little straw hole that you look through, and there's Polaris. It's been there since it was built in 1981. And so we went there and we looked through and did a time lapse, and Polaris is staying right in that hole. Well, it's been up for over 40 years. So it would be at least 1 moon width out of that hole, which is significant, but it was still there in the middle of the hole. I made a video about that. It started going viral. It was uploaded to hundreds of channels. And then about a week later, a terrorist blew up the Georgia Guidestones. And 3 hours later, the bulldozers were there, knocked the whole thing down, stole the time capsule, and no investigation ever happened.
Is that a fact?
Fact. Look it up.
See, again, then why wouldn't someone just stick a hole? Like go out with a pole and stick a hole?
They did. It was up for 41 years. I actually had a pipe in my backyard bolted to my house that I can see Polaris, and I had it up for years. right? My parents weren't happy because I put a hole in the side of the house to do it. But I was fascinated long before I was a flat earther. I was just like, wow, there's Polaris. And I could always find Polaris by looking through the pipe. But they made one for us and it was there and the pyramids are there. But now the story is, well, it didn't point towards then. But we know when the Georgia Guidestones were built. We know that Polaris was still in the hole. There's also another place called Coral Castle that has a little X in this pyramid, this pillar, and this Polaris actually makes a tiny little circle, and it shows you what season it's in by going around that tiny little circle. It's basically stationary, but it's a tiny little circle, and that's been up for a long time.
Well, even that on your iPad, and I'll make sure somebody gets those and can put them up. See, I should have put it up on that screen.
That's right.
But that right there, like even if that were true, let's pretend that is true.
Yeah.
Whoever came up with that is also a hypothesis because you couldn't get that far away from all this to witness that. So all you're doing is making an assumption that that's what's happening. And that's why we can't tell if there's a globe or not. Why? Because we don't just
they don't teach us that model in school. They teach us the flat circling model. They never taught us that the sun is moving at 500,000 miles an hour. Right? We're orbiting.
Yeah, they teach that.
When I went to school, that we never really saw this. They always showed us the flat circling. Everything's just flat circling. It's interesting that our solar system is flat.
They teach now.
Okay,
right?
I don't think so. I don't think they teach. They don't push this model in school because this will wake up too many people. Going, that's bullshit.
Well, then who says that that's what's happening?
This is what science does say, but they don't teach it in the schools. I mean, maybe some do at this point.
Maybe I've seen it after school. All I know is even if that's real.
Yeah.
First of all, it's a hypothesis because nobody can get that far away to kind of, oh, that's what's happening. So it's all theory, if you ask me.
It's horrible theory.
But that would also tell me there's a creator because how in the hell did that happen?
Yeah. Well,
and not only that, like the sun. Okay. First of all, how do you know what the sun's made of?
Well, they say they have spectroscopy, but the thing is, gas needs to be contained in a container. Space is not a container. Gas violently fills the available space, violently, whoosh, like that. But for some reason, it sticks to the earth, and it sticks into balls. If you took a container of helium and hydrogen into space, if space existed, into a vacuum chamber, and put a hole in it, violently, it's going to expand. So how much helium and hydrogen do you need before it has enough mass to contract, right? The reason you can't figure it out isn't because you're stupid. It's because it's stupid, right? They want to baffle your mind, right? You can't even understand the numbers. There's a Michio Kaku, the world renowned cosmologist, theoretical cosmologist, says that cosmology is off by a factor of 10 to the 120th power. Brad, you can't understand what that number is. You know what 10 to the 120th power is? So if it's off by that much, think about this. Your brain's going to melt. If you can make 1 million mistakes every second, so 1 per millisecond, so every second you make 1 million mistakes. They tell us the Earth is like 12 billion years old or whatever it is, right? The universe is 12. The Big Bang was 12 billion years ago. Or somewhere around there. That would mean if you make a mistake, 1 million mistakes per second for the age of the universe, you would have to multiply that by 10 to the 98th power. That's how big 10 to the 120th power is. It's a number so big that it doesn't exist. But that's what they say they're off by. So basically they're telling us this is total bullshit.
Yeah, they have no idea.
And people's minds, like, I believe in revelation of the method. I think because God set up this world in a way that they're not allowed to put a bear trap in the woods without telling us there's a bear trap under the leaves over there. So they tell us everything that they're doing. They tell us that gravity is fake by saying that the electrostatic force is 10 to the 36 power, another number you can't fathom, stronger than gravity, which means gravity doesn't exist.
Well, obviously Then what is it? What sticks?
It's
us to the gut?
electrostatics. Everything has an electrostatic charge. The earth is a neutral or negative charge. The sky has a positive charge, and anything off the ground is surrounded by the positive charge. Since the earth isn't moving, it says down is this way, and then buoyancy and density sort everything else out. If I had a helium balloon, ping pong balls, and marbles, and I held them over a swimming pool and opened my hand, the balloon's going to go up because it's less dense than the air. The marbles and ping pong balls will go down because they're more dense than the air. The marbles will go to the bottom of the pool because they're more dense than the water. That's buoyancy and density. Down is down because of the electrostatic charge. Lightning sometimes strikes down next to somebody and they go flying in the air. Did it turn off gravity or did it just change the polarity of the earth for a split second? The XRT-3B triangular aircraft lifts and propels itself with electrostatics. We should all have flying cars that run on free energy right now, but they're hiding everything from us. They're hiding more land, in my opinion. They're hiding free energy. They're hiding our divinity. They're hiding our true potential. They're hiding resources. Why the lie? Why do they go to war for all of these things? And this is just in our minds. They literally blindfold us.
What about flat Earth maps that match actual flight times?
So I coming through the airport, what airport was I? There was, the walkways, the moving sidewalks. This was a really long one, right? And so somebody was walking down the walkway and they started at the same time as me. They were on the regular non-moving floor and I'm on the moving floor. We're both walking at the same pace, but I went twice the distance that he did in the same amount of time. So you could say, well, I'm going from Santiago to Australia and he's going from California to Spain, right? And so I went twice the distance in the same amount of time. Same thing's up in the sky. There's moving currents of air circling around 350 miles an hour in some cases. And these southern flights go in those air currents and they take advantage of those wind speeds.
Yeah, but if you go from Sydney to Santiago, it's 14 hours direct flight.
Right.
Flat Earth, it should be 25 hours.
No, because it's going much faster. First, planes don't go just 500 miles an hour. The Boeing Dreamliner, that is the one that does that flight, can go like 650 miles an hour. Throw a 350 mile an hour tailwind on it. Now it's going 1,000 miles an hour. And the other one the other plane in the north that's going half the distance.
Oh, would it be going north?
No, the other plane, another flight in the northern hemisphere that's doing a route that on the globe is the same distance, but on a flat Earth is half the distance. It's going half the speed.
Yeah, but on a globe, it's 14 hours, and that is what it is. On a flat Earth,
it's longer, but it has that moving sidewalk of air.
What does?
The airplane is flying in these southern winds.
So what you're saying is, then why wouldn't they be in that wind on a globe?
Because all of the airlines are run by NASA. NASA is in charge of all of the routes, all of the international flight routes. But if you look at the winds, I'm just trying to find that where it is. So this is a map of the wind speeds at different heights. And those red winds are like 200, 300 mile an hour winds. So if you're, it's like if you were in a river swimming downstream and somebody was in a pool next to the river, who's going to swim faster? You are.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Again, on my app, in the Southern Flight section, on the frequently asked questions page, all of this is explained, shown. Look at it, debunk it, please. Don't believe me.
And get yourself
Test it yourself.
3 Bitcoin, folks.
3
If you
Bitcoins.
can bring him any proof.
You can find my app at flatearthdave.com. But if you don't want to get the app, just go to the crash course there, watch the first 5 videos, and then send me your globe proof.
How about, why do southern hemisphere stars rotate in the opposite direction around a different pole?
So we're told that in the south, the stars rotate clockwise, and in the north, they rotate counterclockwise. It's false. It's not true. We're told it. We just believe it. So if you're here in the north and we go out tonight and we look at the North Star, we're going to see the stars going from our right shoulder to our left shoulder around Polaris. That's counterclockwise, right? So it's coming up this way. So we're going to turn around, and now we're looking south and they're going clockwise. Same direction, it's just the direction that you're facing. We're told that it's exclusive to the north and the south, but it's not true at all.
What do you mean? I don't follow that.
So it's coming from my right shoulder to my left shoulder. If I turn around, it's coming from my left shoulder to my right shoulder. Now it changed directions. I just turned around.
Gotcha.
Again, I have in the frequently asked questions page, there's Southern Star rotation, tons of videos on there. We've done all of the, lined up all the evidence for you.
Why does the angle to Polaris exactly match your latitude?
Because if you and I were in a Home Depot, a giant Home Depot, and we're going to expand it several miles wide, and there's random lights in the ceiling, and we're standing under one light, and that's the North Star. And look, I could see a penguin, and I could see a dinosaur, and then, I could see that too. And then you go walking down aisle 6, and you go for a couple miles. I can't see you anymore. I call you on the phone. I say, hey, look up. Do you see the penguin? You see the dinosaur? You're like, no, I see completely different stars. All right. And as you walk away, that light, that northern star, is going to get lower and lower and lower and lower. And then it's just going to merge into the floor, probably less than a mile away.
Well, this says at 0% latitude, Polaris equals 0% on horizon. At 45 latitude, Polaris is 45 degrees. And at 90% or 90 degrees latitude, Polaris is 90 degrees. A perfect straight line relationship, only possible on a sphere.
So,
no flat Earth geometry can replicate this.
So these are they make assertive claims that no flat Earth has addressed this. We've addressed it a million times. So the globe was, excuse me. The globe was made from flat Earth geometry. First, to get a angle of elevation, you have to do it off of a flat plane. That's a flat Earth measurement, right? So Polaris is 90 degrees above you. If it's local, as you walk away, it's going to start dropping down due to perspective. Yeah. And then when it gets in front of you, that's when the atmosphere is the thickest, and it literally becomes a horizon. Flat Earthers say
that makes sense.
Yeah, flat Earthers say the horizon always rises to eye level. That's not true. The horizon always appears to be at eye level, but in fact, it's thousands of feet above your eye level.
How about this one? Why does the sun not change angular size if it's moving closer and farther from you?
Another false statement. We've done it with a solar filter, and it's reduced in size up to 40%. That's with a solar filter. But if you understand the nature of how we see the sun that we see, if we see the sun big like this, Brad, that's mostly glare. The sun is really about this big, and all of that around is just in our eye. And so when you put a solar filter on, you're seeing the actual size of the sun, and it does shrink smaller and smaller. But the problem is, as it gets down lower and lower, it stops its angular descent slowly, and sometimes it just on a clear day, it just completely stops. Right? So that can't happen on a globe, and then it'll just shrink to a dot, and it'll fade out into the thickness of the atmosphere. On my app, I have on the more resources page, I have a sun fade out section. When I showed this, the globe trolls went berserk. They said, you faked it. Nice CGI. I don't know how to do CGI. Right? So I live streamed it the next time I did it from my drone. I live streamed it. I did it 7 different times. They've got no explanation for what I'm showing.
What are you showing?
I'm showing the sun completely fading out into the thickness of the atmosphere. So I'll show you real quick, and I'll give you the video also.
Because usually you see the sun setting.
Usually you do.
How do you explain the sun setting?
Yep. This is my friends over at the beach over here are in total darkness already. They saw the sun set 10 minutes ago, and I'm just watching the sun, and it's stopped going down. Now, if we were rotating, it would go down, 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 but it didn't. It stopped right at the horizon. And try to fast forward a little bit. And it just started, it's getting smaller, and then it just completely got absorbed. Its light got attenuated into the atmos.
Well, that's why it says nice CGI, because it looks like it just disappeared.
Yeah, because it just went into the thickness. It's like if you were walking away into the fog, you would just disappear into the fog. Well, the atmosphere, even on the clearest day, over great distances, will attenuate the light. The light doesn't travel forever, billions of years through space and stuff. It doesn't.
Well, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So
Go ahead.
again, I mean, like that's why I say when they say the stars are just the light, you act like light's going to stay in a big beam the whole way.
Correct.
Which doesn't make sense to me based on just normal observation. Just like spinning, this globe's not spinning. If it was spinning, wouldn't we feel it? And they're like, no, that's gravity. It's like, okay, maybe, but like it doesn't make sense. And here's what also doesn't make sense. If you come off the globe, right? I don't know how high do you need to get to where eventually you're no longer in the Earth's atmosphere. Is that possible?
We can get up to about 127,000 feet where the atmosphere is pretty thin, but there's still atmosphere.
But when you come back down, are you in the same spot?
So the Earth is spinning at about 1,000 miles an hour ground speed, right?
Supposedly, or
that's what they say. No, it's not spinning in the globe model. I'll be more clear when I.
Well, the reason why is because like just use common sense brain. I didn't say super genius, no science brain, just common sense, everyday average brain. Okay. I would think if this table is spinning a million miles an hour and there's gravity holding the cup there, that's fine. But I would think that if I pick the cup up like this and this thing is actually spinning and I bring it back down, it would not be in the exact same spot. Like
they've
like
shot
the table would have
straight
moved
up, and the cannonball lands right back in the cannon again if they get it perfectly straight. Now,
so how do they unexplain that?
So they say that the atmosphere is moving with the Earth because of billions of years of friction from the topographicalness of the Earth. This is what they say. It's so dumb, right? But the Earth is spinning to the west, right? That way the sun would come up from the east. That's what they say. It's spinning to the west. So if you launch this balloon, which is up for 3.5 hours from Arizona, it would land out in the ocean near Hawaii because the Earth spun out, but it actually landed east of where it took off from. So not only did it go up, it had to speed up because it's a bigger circle than the surface of the Earth's circle. It had to speed up and outrun the Earth to land in front of it. Again, they'll say, "Oh, just the winds." The winds. I thought, wait a minute, I thought the air was velcroed to the Earth. They have just excuses and nonsensical answers for everything. Again,
I mean, you would think if a helicopter just went up 500 feet and sat there for 3 hours.
The longest, I think a helicopter went up 36 hours or something, or more. It was well more than a day, hovered, and it didn't move at all.
Yeah, see, I don't get that part.
Well,
what do they say about that?
They say that the helicopter is moving with the Earth, so when it takes off, it keeps that tangential speed. Okay, cool story. But if you think...
No, because you're off the Earth.
I agree.
Just like if I jump off a speeding truck, I don't keep the speed of the truck.
Well, they say if you're in an airplane and you jump in an airplane, you don't land on the back of the airplane because you're moving with it already, and the air is also moving with it. I can accept that as something that'll confuse the crap out of people. But think about this. If you're on the equator, it takes you 1 day to go all the way around if the Earth is a ball. That's 24,901 on 1 mile. So that's just over 1,000 miles per hour, right? 1,000 miles per hour, you're moving around the Earth in 24 hours on the equator, okay. Ecuador. Alaska is much closer to the North Pole. It's making a much smaller circle. So in 24 hours, it's only moving like 200 miles an hour because it's making a much smaller circle. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. So if I had a helicopter or an airplane on a runway there, I take off. Now it's got that tangential 200 mile an hour speed. I fly at 500 miles an hour to Ecuador, and I want to land on a runway that's oriented north and south. That runway is moving sideways at 1,000 miles an hour. How do I gain that sideways speed? You can't figure it out because it's dumb.
Can anyone figure that out?
Nobody can.
So haven't you ever had a debate with people?
Yeah. The argument they'll say is as you're going, it's speeding up because the air
What's
is
speeding up.
The helicopter's side or the airplane's sideways, momentum is speeding up because the air is turning with the Earth. But there's winds, crosswinds, hurricanes. None of it makes any sense.
Yeah, that don't make sense to me. Jumping up in an airplane and not slamming to the back of the airplane, that makes sense to me. So,
but if the airplane was turning, you would jump up and you would hit the wall, right? So the argument is that once you're going that speed, you don't notice it. But all of the motions of the Earth, the spin, the orbit, and the going around the great attractor, those are all curved trajectories, all curves. Curving is acceleration. I can have my cup of tea and a car going 100 miles an hour, no problem. If that car speeds up, slows down, or takes the slightest turn, my tea is going to the side. It's going to go.
Or speeds up fast.
Yeah.
You'd see the water do this if it sped up or stopped.
And the earth is speeding up and slowing down. It's doing a parabolic, what's it called? It's speeding up and slowing down around the sun.
So what force keeps the sun and the moon moving in perfect circles?
I think it's that toroidal field, God. I don't know. Again, these are claims that we don't even know what the sun and moon is, other than, Crow 777 Radio. He's done some incredible work with a hydrogen alpha telescope and has gotten videos of the sun. To me, I think the sun is consciousness. It could be the mind of the creator. I don't know.
So this says, ask you this, and then it says, what force accelerates them inward 24/7? And you say, you don't know. And then, well, why does the force not affect airplanes, drones, birds, or clouds?
I don't understand the question. What makes the sun?
What force keeps the sun and the moon moving in perfect circles?
Yeah. So the sun and the moon are above the clouds, maybe not that much above the clouds, but they're above the clouds. I don't think the sun that we see is the actual sun. I think the sun that we see is above the firmament, right? And so we have the firmament, whatever it's made out of, and we're seeing a projection into our realm. We're seeing it like a rear projection. If you take a glass bowl, turn it upside down and hold a light above it, look inside that bowl, you'll see a sun floating in there. You'll see a circle, a ball sun floating in there.
See, this is why I never go down these rabbit holes. Why? Well, because
it's a lot of energy. It's a lot of time.
Because I don't know. Like, you could be full of shit, or you could be exactly right. Because I can't run and check everything you're saying.
But here's the thing. I've made it easy with my app. All you have to do is watch the daily video while you're having your coffee each day. It'll make you think. And then you can make up your own mind. I have an experiment section in there on the More Resources page where we've done experiments with lasers, with sun flashes. We can see far beyond the physical limits of a globe. Think about this.
That could be explained very simply by they misinterpret how big the actual globe is.
If the Earth is 1,000 times bigger than they tell us, because we have observations that would require that, isn't that something worth knowing?
Well, how would we know? They're guessing the size in the first place.
But if we have observation, if the Earth is a globe, which it's not, 1,000 times bigger, maybe there's 7,000 continents. That's something that they're keeping, that would be keeping a secret from us. But that's where I jumped to first. I was like, wait a minute, the Earth is just bigger. But then all of space is fake, because all of the moon missions, which is fake, all of the planet orbits are all based on the radius of the Earth. If the Earth is bigger, the radius is wrong, space is fake, Elon's a liar, Space Force is nonsense. It's all incredible.
What about the energy source of a small local sun?
I think it's a transformer from another dimension, but that's just me. Well, Eric Dollard said that, who is a great physicist, or whatever you want to call him, a scientist. It's hard to say what it is. I think all life comes from the sun, and you can put you can make a lot of connections with the sun, the SUN and the SON. People say that the sun in the sky is a portal to heaven. Well, the only way to get to heaven is through the sun. Some people say the sun in our sky dies on the 21st of December as it reaches its outer lowest point, and then it's resurrected 3 days later. It starts coming back. That's interesting. If you and I were at the beach watching the sunset, you would see the sun walking on the water to your feet at the edge of the water. I would see the sun walking on the water to my feet. I'd look over at yours. I don't see what you see, and you don't see what I see. You could say you have a personal relationship with the sun. The sun warms us, feeds us. If the sun didn't rise for a month, what would you say when the next day when it rose?
About time.
Thank God. About time. You're the first person that didn't say thank God.
Well, I was expecting it.
Okay.
So
no, it's good. No worries.
But you see a video, or I saw a video where these flat earthers say, okay, we're going to debunk you. We're going to Antarctica. They go to Antarctica. And it shows that there's a 24-hour day.
Sure.
And they were like, that proves the Earth isn't flat.
So that's incorrect. So what that proves.
But hold on real quick, because to me, when I saw it, I'm like, well, that would back up that the Earth's flat. Why? Well, because it didn't disappear. It just went like this. So then it's flat. Well, then how come when you're, over here, you wouldn't see it? Well, again, the same kind of concept. Like if there's, far enough distance, man, that thing's not lighting up the whole Earth.
Well,
but they're saying that's the globe, and I see why they're saying it, because you're up here, so you can see it. Down here, you can't see it.
I used to say that the circling sun in Antarctica would prove the globe, but I was incorrect in my thinking. We know that there's 24 hours of light because as the sun spirals out towards the Tropic of Capricorn, its light is getting closer to the firmament, and that light wraps around, and we could actually model that. So we could say 24 hours of light, but not sunlight. Daylight is different than sunlight.
You can see the sun the whole time.
Well, in that footage, we saw the sun the whole time. There's a lot. If you really dive into that, and we could do a many-hour podcast on that trip alone, there's so many anomalies, so many things that just don't make sense. It's not a scientific experiment. It's an observation. But even if there is a circling light in the sky that you want to call the sun, it doesn't prove the shape of the Earth. We physically measured the Earth. If you want to say that a light circling around in Antarctica proves the shape of the Earth, you now have to prove that helium and hydrogen can have gravity, can exist in a vacuum, can hold on to Pluto, can ignore our moon. People from Narnia laugh at that because it doesn't make any sense. It violates every natural law. So again, what happened in Antarctica? It's a longer conversation. I have a whole section on that called TFE. That you can find on my website.
Explain buoyancy without gravity.
Electrostatics. So we can take some leftover helium balloons, and they're neutrally buoyant. We just put a little button on it, and it's floating about 2 inches off the ground. And we connected a wire to it, and with the wire on, it's floating like 2 inches off the ground. And that goes to a Van der Graaf generator. A Van der Graaf generator can add a charge to something. So it's neutrally buoyant off the ground. We add a higher positive charge to it, Brad, and it goes down. We discharge it, and it goes back up. Did we change gravity, or did we change the electrostatic charge? We changed the charge.
Or the density.
No, we didn't change the density. We just changed its electrostatic charge. We can take a tinfoil triangle, and we can put a negative charge into it, and it goes up off the ground. And it levitates. Are we changing gravity, or we're just changing the electrostatic charge? MIT has a drone called the Silent Drone. It looks like a milk crate. It has no moving parts, and it can fly. Is it defying gravity, or is it just using electrostatics? And I told you before, the globalists say the electrostatic charge, provable, testable, repeatable, anybody can do that. Gravity has never been proven, never been tested, is 10 to the 36 power stronger than gravity. 10 to the 36 power stronger than gravity, it says that gravity is 0. That number doesn't even exist. So that's, again, revelation of the method. They're telling us gravity is nonsense.
What about a dome? What is its refractive index?
I don't know. There was Operation High Jump. Not Operation High Jump. That was in Antarctica. Operation Fishbowl, where they were shooting bombs up at the dome to see what its physical properties was. There's old documents talking about they were seeing the reflectiveness of the dome, and they were trying to blast a hole in it back in the 1950s. And, you can see when these bombs explode that they're hitting something and spreading out. But that's all we know. It was called Operation Dominic, which is of the Lord, an Operation Fishbowl. Why would they call it that?
Yeah, there's definitely some questions. I just wish I had, multiple people here, because I'd like to hear like both sides. Now, what would convince you that the Earth is a globe?
Any evidence that is exclusive to the globe, that's scientific and isn't just speculation.
Or a picture, maybe? Or
a picture. We can't even show video anymore, right? But if we look at all the pictures from NASA,
someone took you in a ship, and you just started going up like a hot air balloon, even, and you got high enough up, and you started to see a curve, on the horizon. Would you be convinced?
Well, first, you can't see forever, and so the higher up you get, the farther you can see, and then the atmosphere would literally, it would look curved because we see the same distance in all directions. So if my fingertips were as far as I can see, right where the sky and the ground meet, well, here, right, all the way around. So that's a circle. So as I go up, I'm going to see a big circle.
Well, you'd see it's flat.
Well, no, a circle from a distance looks like a sphere. You say the moon looks like a sphere, but they call it the lunar disk. I think it's flat, but it could be a sphere, but it doesn't matter. It's a light in the sky. We don't live in the sky, and we're not a light.
Well, it's not a light.
It's a light, 100%.
In the daytime, it isn't.
And nighttime, when the moon is up, can you read a book by it?
Well, I can see it in the nighttime.
Can you read a book by it in the middle of nowhere?
A bright moon, yeah.
Yeah. Can it cast your shadow on the ground?
I've never noticed.
It does. It can. The moon shadow.
The other day the moon was out and it was a little brighter.
Yeah. So,
but it's definitely luminescent.
It's luminescent.
But they say it's a reflection of the sun.
They say that. But if you go and
what's the dark side of the moon?
What dark side?
Well, you can always see like where I mean, it looks. I got pictures of it.
I understand.
But just the other day, I was walking down my street because I walk every morning. And the moon was out in the middle of the day, which again, how do you see the moon and the sun at the same time? But so I'm looking, and it looks like a globe. It looks like the top one.
So the top one is a rock.
It looks
with the sunlight blasting on it at noon. How come it doesn't look like a light? And that does look like a light at 250,000 miles away.
Because you don't know what the moon's made of.
Well, we're told that it's made of dust and rock, and it's made of earth and a planet.
I don't believe they went there. So how do they know?
So again,
and by the way, you see those dark things. Do you think that's a reflection of the continents?
This here?
Yeah.
You know what? The moon map thing is interesting. I have some issues with it, but I'm also not ruling it out. I don't know enough about it, but it's definitely the moon map. There's a whole section on the moon map on the app that you can find. But this is a light. If it was reflecting the sun, there would be a hot spot and then dimmer, but it's lit edge to edge.
But it does look like a globe, doesn't it?
It certainly does. But why do they call it the lunar disk? No one's ever seen the backside. It's a ball that's rotating at the perfect rate that it never lets us see the other side because it's gravitationally locked. What the hell?
It doesn't spin?
Well, they say it does spin at the perfect rate where as it goes around the Earth, it's always facing the same size is always facing us. Let's say
if the moon didn't spin, let's say this is the front of it.
Yeah.
If it didn't spin, it just sat there and it orbited. But
we'd see the backside on
no,
the.
You wouldn't. Not unless it spun.
If I hold a basketball in front of your face and I wrote a 1 on the front of the basketball and a 2 on the backside, how do I go all the way around your head and you only see the 1? I have to spin it slowly.
No.
Brad.
You wouldn't go around my head.
Your head is the globe.
I know, but if the Earth is a ball and it's spinning, right? And here's the moon not spinning, the whole Earth and the only
but
Earth
the
would
moon,
ever see
the
would
moon
be the one.
orbits the Earth every 28 days.
But it would always be the one side.
No, it would have to rotate. It would have to rotate. If here's the Earth, it would have to rotate. So
it doesn't. Yeah, it goes around, but the one
if it
can
went
show
around
permanently.
Here's the 1, right? The 1 is facing the Earth.
Yeah.
The 1 is not facing the Earth now.
You're going like this. Why can't it do this?
Well, that means it's rotating.
No, it's solid.
The heliocentric model.
Watch.
Hold on, Brad.
Watch though. If I spin around, you're going to see my face all the way around you.
But your face is turning.
My face is going around you.
It's turning. You're facing this wall. When you're over here, you're going to be facing that wall. Your head is turning.
Yeah, but we're talking about you, not the walls.
No. Brad, in the heliocentric model, they claim that the moon is spinning, but at the exact rate where we only see one side. So you're arguing against the heliocentric model.
I don't believe, I mean, that's a hard one to believe for me.
Yeah.
Just that we're just random rocks flinging around perfectly synchronized forever. Like, and then again, like, mathematically speaking, that's another reason that there would be a creator, because only a creator could figure that out.
100%. And then what they don't want you to understand what this place is, sound and frequency. They don't want you to understand, besides more resources, that we have these incredible manifestation abilities. Have you ever looked into the moon manifestation cycle?
No.
Right? This is something, you're a guy
This
that,
is the longest I've ever spent on this subject.
I know, but here's the thing. We're not even cracking the surface. And the reason that flat earth isn't taking off is because it takes time and effort and energy. And people just don't, in their busy lives, they just don't want to put in the effort and thinking. So the moon manifestation cycle, just slightly off topic, right? And I want you to try this, Brad, because it's going to work. It's going to blow your mind. You know how you focus on things and you manifest them into your life?
Yes.
Right? Do it on the moon cycle. So when there's a new moon, clarify exactly what you want to manifest in your life. Right? Don't say, I want $1 million, whatever. You manifest the things that matter to you. Think about them. And then for the next 2 weeks, as the moon is growing, as it's going in its cycle, you focus on them, you repeat them, you do it all day long. And then when the moon is full, you give thanks and gratitude like you already have them, whether you can see them or not. And then for the next 2 weeks, you go just relax. You're on vacation, let things happen, and then do it again. It is super powerful. It'll blow your mind how well it works. Blow your mind.
So you start when it's a crescent moon?
Start when there's no moon, new moon. Clarify, write down however you want to do it, your intentions, your things that you want to manifest into your life.
And it can't be $1 million?
Well, nobody wants $1 million. You want what $1 million is going to bring you. $1 million. What do you want $1 million for? You want to start another business. You want freedom.
No,
you want
just cushion.
Yeah, but so
relief.
So you want relief. Don't ask for $1 million. Ask for financial relief. Ask for I
already have it though, so it's hard to measure.
So the thing is, there are things in your life that you want to. Better relationship with your kids, whatever it is.
I believe manifestation. I didn't know the moon thing.
Try it with the moon
manifested
cycle.
my first Ferrari, dude.
Yeah.
I said, I want a freaking black F8, bing, bing,
but you
bing,
focused on it and you brought
it
in. But it works better on the moon cycle.
Not only did I get one, I just got my second one, matte black, because when I got the black one, I was always wishing it was matte black. So now I got a matte black one.
My point is, I want everyone listening and you to try it. Focus on it for 2 weeks, every day, focus on it, get up, think about it. Full moon, whether you have it or not, give gratitude like you already have it. And then for the next 2 weeks, you get to relax. And within 1 or 2 cycles, watch what happens.
That's interesting. I'll try it.
Okay.
So why do all satellite dishes point to the same spot in the sky?
So a lot of them, it depends on which satellites we're talking about, are
but in the U.S., they point south. And
a lot of them are just picking up cell phone signals, if you talk to the guys that install the satellites. But the big ones that go up, what they do is they send a signal. We used to have the big giant dishes that would actually move and face the sky. The NASA whistleblower and others have said they can hit the dome with either a bomb or a laser, I forget, and it electrifies it. And then they can shoot, and it stays electrified for decades. And then they can shoot a signal at it. So like NBC or whatever will shoot a signal at the dome, and then everybody just faces their satellite at that stationary spot in the sky. And it works. And they get a signal. But the thing is, when you look at satellites, my favorite thing used to be is looking up in the sky and watching those satellites go by when I'm down in the Caribbean. Do you think you could see a school bus at 100 miles away? It's too small to see. So we're seeing something tiny. Right? Think about this. A 747's engine at 747 at cruising altitude is 7 miles high. You can see the plane barely, but you can't see the engine, right? That's at 7 miles high. If it's directly above you, it's 7 miles. If you double the height of that plane, you couldn't even see the airplane.
So the airplane at 40,000 feet is about 7 miles?
No, at 40,000 is about 7 miles, right?
So you're saying that the dome is at 72 miles?
That's what they say. But think about this. Well, that's what the Go Fast rocket is indicating. That's what the NASA
somebody did shoot a rocket.
Yeah.
So how come no one else does? When you say they forbid it, like we don't listen to they.
Well, how are you going to do it? If you want to shoot a rocket up, you have to get permission from NASA.
Or what?
Or they're going to put you in jail. I don't know.
I know, but like you think like if you had the ability to build a rocket, you wouldn't do it just
if I had a couple $1 million and I could do it and
Well, why don't we raise some money? Because dude, there's people like me out there that like, I am not against flat earth, although I do think it's a little bit of bullshit. Why? Well, because but then I look and I'm like, yeah, those are good questions. So I'm like, I don't know. But the only reason I think it's bullshit is because I've always been taught and believed this, and
Right.
that will stick people to their little beliefs. I'm open-minded. So I'm like, those are pretty good questions. Now, I also don't have someone here like Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Thank God.
Like if he was here, he would be able to, and then by the way, 90% of the people are going to choose who they want to believe, usually by
Right.
confirmation bias.
100%.
So you'll have your fans, because I've seen your fans leaving comments like, you know, go Dave, go.
Yeah.
And then other people going, this guy's a kook. So you're always going to get that. But I just don't, I admit, I don't know if what you're saying is a fact,
Right.
and I don't know what they're saying is a fact. So I'm one of the people that say, I don't know, based on what I've been taught or told. We're living on a globe, even though that's hard to believe, especially the heliocentric is hard to believe.
Right.
I think a flat earth is easier to believe.
Well,
And quite frankly, I would love it to be true. Why? Because that means there is a creator. And that's what I'm really looking for, to know for sure. Because again, I tell people all the time, yeah, I believe. Why? Because it's safer too.
Brad-
Because if you don't believe and it's correct, you're fucked. And if you do believe and you're wrong, nothing. You had a good life. You were kind to people. You
Yeah.
did the right thing. Like, what's the harm in believing? Like, you can't just simply fucking believe. That's a dumb thing if you can't
Yeah.
believe. Well, I'm not going to believe because, dude, the gamble is like massive. Because if it's true and you don't believe, now people will say, well, he knows your heart and he knows you don't really believe. He's the one that made me, supposedly. So he already knew that. Okay, so why would he make me like that? Okay, so at the end of the day, I go back and forth and struggle. But do I believe? I do believe. It's too perfect. The human body is too crazy. Like the human eye, there's things in it's just like, this is miraculous shit. This didn't just happen.
Random mutations from pond scum.
That's like saying
nonsense.
That's like seeing my Ferrari and being like,
yeah,
oh, that just developed.
Yeah, a hurricane went through a junkyard and built a Ferrari and matte
so like
black.
somebody made that, and it's easy to see that somebody made a Ferrari, but look at a human being and you don't think that's miraculous. So
It's
to me,
incredible.
I believe there's a creator, but I don't know there's a creator. Just like,
That's why you need to look into this further so you know.
I think you believe there's a flat earth, but you don't know.
No, I
How do
know it's not a globe, 100%. I can't
You
explain.
don't know.
I do know.
The only
It's-
way
it-
you'll know is if you see it for yourself.
Yeah, but your idea of going to space and seeing it, there is no space, so it's not going to happen. So in theory,
Let's debunk
it's
there's
great.
no space though.
Yeah. How are you going to do that?
There's enough people like me in the world that'll all pitch in a little bit of money.
So we're going to do
And
exactly what the GoFast did. The same thing's going to happen. And then what?
what happened?
It crashed into a thicker
Okay, so
medium.
if I shoot something that goes straight up and
Yeah.
and there's a camera on it, because
Yeah.
we got enough
there was
technology
cameras. We got
now.
2 cameras on this one.
Okay, and I'm watching for my own eyes,
Yeah.
and it's and all of a sudden it smashes into a freaking dome. Motherfucker, I'm a believer.
It's not going to smash into a dome. It goes into a thicker medium, a plasma.
I saw a video the other day where there's people see what sounds like they're in a hot air balloon, and they're like, "Oh my God, it's water!" And you're looking up, of course, and it looks like they're floating towards a upside down water.
Interesting.
And I just
see
saw
that.
it the other day. But I've been talking about flat Earth shit because you're coming on, so my phone's listening. So it probably served me that video. But to me, the only way I will ever say I know is by like me going up into the sky and not passing the dome. Like, hey, I touched the motherfucker. It's real. Or I just got to pick who I want to believe.
Well, it's not about, we can see too far. So that's the big one for me.
Yeah, but that's easily explainable.
How is it explainable?
They don't know how big the Earth is.
well,
How the fuck you measure the Earth?
so if
How much does it weigh?
they gave that also, which is ridiculous.
I know, but they're saying it weighs whatever. How do you know what the damn
Right,
Earth weighs?
but-
You haven't weighed the damn
But
Earth.
if the observations that we have show that the Earth would have to be more than 1,000 times bigger, that alone debunks all of space, because all of space falls apart if the radius changes by a little bit. All of it. So
well, all of their bullshit measurements. fall apart.
all of space, all the planets, everything falls apart. So now that space is falling apart, you can jump right back to flat Earth. I want to show you one quick thing on seasons. So here's Mexico, and the Yucatan Peninsula is pretty close to Florida. I was on the Yucatan Peninsula last February, and it was 95 degrees, beautiful day. In Connecticut, right up here, it was -10 Fahrenheit, over 100-degree difference. Now on the globe, there's just a little bit of curve between there. And the difference of how far we are from the sun, Connecticut was 0.000002% farther than a 93 million mile away sun. So that doesn't sound like it's going to make a difference like that. But the sun was right over here. And if you draw a line to right over here, to the Yucatan and then continue it to Connecticut, Connecticut is twice as far away from the sun on a flat Earth. That would explain the difference, twice as far. It's amazing. I've got graphics for all of this. Verify it yourself. I'm just telling you stories, right? Don't believe anything I say. Think about it. The problem is people don't want to think. We were taught to hate learning. People hated school, hated history because it's all fake.
See,
Eratosthenes, that's some sticks and shadows
the
guy.
Earth in 240 BC. My ass.
I told you that, but the sticks that works perfectly on a flat Earth.
Aristarchus measured the sun's distance 230 BC. My ass.
Thank you.
Islamic astronomers proved the sphere in 1100 AD. They didn't even know how to wipe their ass and flush a toilet back then. Now you're telling me that they all of a sudden can prove there's a fucking sphere.
I don't believe either of those things are true.
Circumnavigation happened in 1519. Who was that?
I have no idea. How would you know? East and west is not circumnavigation. Circumnavigating the center point, sure, works on a flat Earth.
Seismic tomography mapped the Earth in the 1900s.
Yeah, the tsunamis that have happened, the earthquakes that have happened, earthquakes, the tsunami will wrap around Australia. They'll wrap around all the islands. They'll wrap around continents, but they don't never wrap around Antarctica. You look at it on a flat Earth map, it makes perfect sense. But they'll claim that it doesn't make sense on a flat Earth and that it proves the globe, but they don't tell you how.
What about perspective makes the sun set? Is that what flat earthers believe?
Well, it's perspective makes the lights, makes like if you're standing under a street light, you got a row of perfectly straight road, you got street lights. The light over your head is the noon sun, right? You with me? Mm-hmm. The light over your head, we'll call that the noon sun. The one a quarter of a mile down the road, it looks like it's touching the road, but it's the same height, but it looks like it's touching the road. The sun does the same thing, but the sun is actually above the atmosphere. So let's call the atmosphere 40,000 feet, right? 40,000 feet in 30, 40 miles away will compress and look like a line at your eye level. So that just becomes opaque atmosphere, and the sun just goes beyond it and sets. It's really high in the sky.
Well, then, how do mountains block a 3,000 mile high object?
So you don't even need a mountain. A 6 foot tall person can block the sun from you. If you're standing near a highway overpass, and you're looking underneath the overpass, you can see the sun in the afternoon below the overpass. Is it below the overpass? Perspective makes it look like it's below the overpass. If you walk back, the overpass is going to block the sun until it drops below it. It's not dropping below it. It's just going away and it disappears into the
high in the sky. You could never see it in the overpass.
Yes, you can.
I know you can, but like you would think if it's that high up in the sky, I don't see how anything could block it. It'll always be there.
Well, it doesn't matter how high it is. It will go and appear to be at your eye level. Like when I look at the clouds from Connecticut, above me, I can see New York City down the 30, 25 miles away, and the clouds look like they're touching the ground at that distance. They're the same height.
Okay, so
where does the sun go? That's a great section on the app. Worth the cost of the app alone. Watch those videos.
How do you guys explain? Because I've been in Dubai and called people here, and it's daytime, and there it is nighttime.
That's the easiest one of all. So the sun is small and local. Right now, we're here in, where are we? I'm in
Las Vegas.
I'm in Las Vegas. And it's afternoon. The sun, it's a 2 o'clock. Is that what time it is? Yeah.
Roughly.
2:30. And the sun's over here. It's dark over here. The sun's just too far away. They can't see it. The sun is moving towards the Tropic of Capricorn. It'll be out there on the 21st, and the light wraps around the dome a little bit. These places are in the dark. It's morning in Brisbane, Australia.
But why would the sun cast a concave shadow like you have?
Well, there's two reasons. One, the dome makes it wrap. If I move the sun into the Tropic of Cancer, where are we? What month? November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June. So in June, the sun is all the way in here, and it makes a more of a kidney bean shape. But the problem is
If there's a dome, that makes sense.
Yeah, but there's also another thing that happens is the Tropic of Cancer.
Is that your app?
Yeah, this is my app. The Tropic of Cancer is the inner yellow line, and the Tropic of Capricorn is the outer yellow line. The sun stays in between both of them. It migrates in for 6 months and out for 6 months. So this is the tropics. Everything in between those is the tropics, and it's warmer there. Light travels farther through warm air, and it gets stopped in cold air. So it makes kind of like a kidney bean shape, and it travels farther in the tropics than it does in the south.
Now, when you say no one can go to Antarctica,
Yeah.
it's guarded, it's forbidden.
Nobody can independently explore Antarctica.
As individually, because
there's no independent exploration of Antarctica. They tell us that you can't drop a cigarette butt there. You can't even ash your cigarette there. But meanwhile,
who's they? Tell us.
This is called the Antarctic Treaty. Happened after Admiral Byrd went out there, and all the countries in the world signed on to this treaty that nobody can independently explore Antarctica. Meanwhile,
according to this, though, 50 countries operate independent Antarctic research stations.
Yes, just research stations. They're all along the shoreline of Antarctica. We had some.
It says there's no military presence stopping civilians.
They say that, but it's not true.
I know, but see, let's go to Antarctica and see if it's true.
Yeah. So
I almost want to say, hey, let's take a little vacation and go see, because I can't believe nobody in the world is not interested and just wants to go see you.
So nobody.
Why don't you offer more Bitcoin than 3?
Because I can't. How's that?
Well, then again, let's raise some money from other people that might believe you. There's got to be a lot of flat earthers. Right. Let's get everybody to throw in 10 grand and offer that reward. Because the reason why I wouldn't go do it is because it's going to cost more than 300 grand.
Here's the problem. The problem is, what is it going to prove? And two,
if there's nobody up there,
first, if you want to independently explore Antarctica, you have to file permits. It takes like a year or two. I think you have to pay like $1 million in fees. And if they deny it, they keep the fees. So, and then you go there and it's cloudy. What happened? All of that time and effort. These are supposedly the bases, but if you look at it on a flat Earth, it's just the bases around here. And we have documentaries showing why there's no bases over here. There's a reason. Again, longer than this podcast has time for.
What's the reason, though?
The reason is, this is actually farther south. This goes beyond where there's any light. So there's no light out here. So they don't have any bases out here. There's a series on the Antarctic section on the FAQ page called Scamarctica. I encourage people to watch it. Here's the problem. There's 3 episodes. They're all over 2 hours. One of them's over 3 hours. Who's going to watch that? That's not interested in learning.
This says water always finds its level. That's what you say.
Yeah.
Water finds a gravitational equipotential surface. On a sphere, that surface is curved. NASA didn't invent gravity.
Yeah. So on a sphere, that is not curved, but again, a naval vessel with a railgun can target with a pinpoint laser another ship 125 miles away and hit it with a line drive, right? There'd be over 2 miles of curvature at that distance.
If it was the right size that they think it is.
Correct.
Now, if it was just bigger than they thought, that would solve all the flat earthers.
Well, it wouldn't, because if the Earth is 1,000 times bigger, I think it's as big.
Why does it have to be 1,000?
Because we have measurements that would require the radius to be 4,000 miles instead of 4. It was like 1,000 times the radius, whatever it was. I forget the numbers. I don't want to quote the wrong numbers, but we have observations that would require, if that's your excuse, the Earth is 1,000 times bigger. That would mean that all space is fake, as I said. And two, that's as big a conspiracy there. If the Earth is 1,000 times bigger, I doubt there's no other continents out there.
I could sit here for days because I can't debunk anything you're saying.
Here's the thing. We're not going to sit here for days. This podcast isn't meant to convince anybody, just as you said. I'm just telling you, if you want to learn the truth, I made an easy way for you to do it. The Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. You can find it on my website, flatearthdave.com. It's $3 one-time charge. And then there is some higher functions like the social media part. I've got a dating section on there to find other flat earthers in your area and stuff. It's $11 a year for that. If you want to support me and support yourself, feel free. But the app is $3.
Is that is that the only way you make money now?
Pretty much, yeah.
So did you get destroyed? Do people just think, oh, Dave, he's a nut job?
I don't care what other people think of me.
But do they?
In time, like, but
people think Candace Owens is lost her freaking mind when in reality, like, she might be exposing facts.
Yeah. So I grew up in the same town that I live in now. And, we have lots of friends there that our kids grew up together and stuff. And most of them think I'm absolutely crazy. But recently they're all scratching their head and they're starting to ask me questions. So the turning is coming. People are waking up. Once you go flat, you never globe back. And, the problem is we're so brainwashed into believing the globe that people refuse to look. I refuse to look. I was an open-minded conspiracy guy, and I did not want to look at flat Earth. It's so dumb. So dumb. But when you look and you actually get real information, I do these TikTok lives a lot. And we let these globers come on and we say, we don't want to hear your flat Earth questions. Give us your globe proof. They're defending the globe, but they don't know the radius. They don't know the circumference. They don't know the distance. They don't know how it was figured out. They don't know anything, but they're defending it.
Well, they'll tell you what it is.
No, they don't even know.
Does.
They don't even know.
Well, those individuals, but Google will tell you the circumference.
Google will tell you, but how did they determine it?
Back in
Eratosthenes with his sticks and shadows that works perfectly on a flat Earth,
which is bullshit.
Right, with a small local sun, you got two posts. The sun is over one of them, so there's no shadow. The sun is here, so there's a shadow. He saw a shadow. He either proved the Earth was flat and didn't know it with a small local sun, or the Earth could be a globe, but we know it's not.
240 BC. They didn't have a fucking calculator.
Wait a minute. Let me tell you the story about Eratosthenes. He wanted to send his buddy 500 miles away. You know how he measured 500 miles? He counted his steps. And then somehow he got there, the weather was perfect, and they did the measurement at the exact same time. I think they had a long string and a can, and they were like, hello, and they talked to each other. I mean, none of it makes any sense. And Eratosthenes would have been the world-famous mathematician back then. There was many other mathematicians that came after him in that area. They never wrote about him until the 1900s. That story didn't even surface until the 1900s.
Well, again, dude, I don't believe that shit. Like, I don't believe any of that shit. Like, again, just use common sense. Like, dude, in 240 BC, they measured the fucking Earth. They couldn't measure their asshole. Yeah. So, like, they didn't have plumbing. Okay, they couldn't figure out a toilet. They were shitting in an outhouse. Like, they couldn't figure out plumbing, but man, they figured out how the circumference of the whole planet was and what it weighed. Like, come on, that's dumb.
Brad, this is the most important deception. This is the one that keeps us lost in the heliocentric sauce, keeps us from realizing our true divinity, from understanding what they're hiding from us.
But that's the only reasonable explanation I've heard to why would they want us to believe it. Well, again, in reality, if the global elitists are satanic and or Satan, because again, Bible says this earth is Satan's. So that would make sense. Why? Well, because dude, if I knew that there was a dome and we knew that this earth was flat, everybody on the planet would be 100% convinced that there's a creator. And so that's the only reason that makes sense, because nobody's making money because the earth is a globe.
Sure it is. NASA gets more money than music, movies, and sports combined.
Yeah, but they could have got that money if it was flat.
Well, I don't think NASA actually gets that money. This is just money for black budgets and stuff. Why the Lie is my favorite section on here, besides Where Does the Sun Go? The Why the Lie videos are phenomenal. They're so good. And if you just watch a couple of them, then you'll see it. You can lead a man to flat water, but you can't make him think critically about the shape of the earth.
Why do you, is it a true fact that there are no pictures of the planet? Because from what I've been told, there are pictures and various countries have taken them and they're all, like photos, but not the same photos.
Well, first, the one that was on all of our iPhones is CGI. The guy that made it admits that it's CGI. It's got stepped and repeated clouds and stuff. And he says
that one may be, but like if you go to the U.S. government, do they not have any photos from the moon?
They don't have anything that says photograph. They have images and pictures, and none of it.
The blue marble.
That was the blue marble I just showed you.
No. Like the one, the real blue marble.
That's the one
that was supposedly from the moon.
Oh, that one. Again, I have videos of that. We took it from NASA's website. We put it into Photoshop. We cranked up the levels, and there's a box around the moon.
Yeah, I did see that too.
Yeah,
but again, I don't know that that's true, but I did see that. Now, if they're all in on it, that's the only other thing. Like, how can every country, that means they're all controlled by these global elites?
Well, that's if you believe in divisions of countries and it's not just one big, control structure keeping us divided. You look at these 8 pictures of Earth, 7 of them have to be fake if they're not all fake because they're all so different from each other. Again, NASA can't even keep their own story straight. If you actually measure, like there's the 2012 picture of Earth shows the United States, it fills up like half the Earth. And it completely blows the radius of the Earth apart. It completely destroys it. Again,
man, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Here's the Einstein question.
Yep.
If your model cannot produce equations, distances, flight times, star maps, or eclipse predictions, what exactly does it explain?
So you're talking about the globe there. Can't do any of them because the eclipses make no sense in a gravitational orbit. Here's the picture I'm talking about. We can measure across Baja and California, Mexico, and according to the radius of the Earth, we'd have to be able to fit 8.5 of these in between here. But it's just completely wrong. This is from NASA. This is one of their famous pictures of Earth. Again, it's a painting.
Well, I read somewhere that NASA admits that they don't have any actual photos of the planet. And by the way, where's the stars in that picture? Because Kim Kardashian just got grilled because she said there's no stars in when you see these pictures.
Yep.
And I don't know what the answer was, but how come when you see them on the moon that there's no stars?
Let me ask you a
question.
Where'd
the stars go?
What if I in 1930 said I discovered a planet? We're calling it, you have a Ferrari, right?
Couple.
It's a Ferrari planet, right? But then in 2010 or whatever, they finally get a picture of this planet and there's the shape of a Ferrari on it. Would that be weird?
Mm-hmm.
So Pluto was discovered the same year Disney came up with the dog Pluto in 1930. And then somewhere in 2000, they took this picture of Pluto and there's a Pluto dog shape on it. They're rubbing it in our faces. And basically it's an intelligence test to say, if you're going to believe this, you're giving permission. If you don't say no to the bullshit, if you don't fight back, you're literally allowing them to keep doing it to us. Everyone, how
about this one? Star constellations change with latitude. Southern stars are never visible in the north.
Yeah. So in the Home Depot, when I called you when you're 2 miles away, could you see any of the same lights that I saw?
So you're just saying it's distance.
Distance. They merge into the ground.
And then airplane flight times match spherical geometry within less than 1% of error.
You cannot tell me how fast those are going with the ground speed, with the wind speeds. They don't tell you that. And so you can say, they all fly at the exact same speed, ground speed, and it takes twice as long. But in reality, the southern flights are going twice as fast.
That could be.
All the sailboat distance records are in the north, but when there's more wind in the south at equal latitudes in the south, sailboats in the north are going like 200 miles farther than ones in the south. That's because the south, the GPS, it's much longer. The Antarctic sailboat race, these are racing sailboats. These, you ever see a racing sailboat? They're awesome, right?
Yeah.
Their average speed of the winter is 4 miles per hour, according to GPS time over distance. 4 miles per hour. They can go 4 miles per hour when they're tied up at the dock. That's because they're going much greater distances. And we even have captains of those boats that have come out and spoke out and says they're using GPS to hide the flat earth. The earth is definitely flat. And they're the captains of this race that globers love using as proof the earth is a globe. Again, what you're going to hear globers say, they're going to make statements like they're true. And unless you're smart enough to go and understand that that statement that you just stated is true is complete nonsense, then you're just going to be lost in the sauce. People don't want to take the time and effort to really logically think this stuff through.
Well, because you can't. That's the problem.
No, you can.
No, just like you take Mormons. They said that the golden tablets came down and Joseph Smith found them, and then you're like, oh no shit, where are they? Oh, they took them back to heaven. Oh, isn't that convenient?
Not talking about that.
I know, but well, again, like the only way you know that all this shit's true, whether the flat Earth or the globe shit, is to spend a ton of money and do shit that is just impossible.
Let me tell you what I did. The boats over the horizon got me. And there's a reason, you can teach a kid how a boat goes over a ball and disappears from the bottom up. Easy to understand. A 5-year-old can understand it. But when you understand angular perspective, foreshortening, compression, atmospheric obfuscation, these are all things that you have to learn. And then you understand, that's why it's disappearing from the bottom up. That's why we can zoom in and see boats far beyond the physical limitations of the globe. And once you understand that we can see too far, we can see Chicago at 57 miles away. People, the bottoms of the buildings are missing. No, that's due to angular resolution and foreshortening and waves and the marine layer. But the top of the tallest building should be hundreds of feet below the curve.
Yeah, so
we can see the whole thing.
Okay, so like that.
Yeah.
I don't know that you can.
You don't know that it can what?
That you can see the whole thing.
Well, you can't see the whole thing.
But like for me to go verify that for myself, I'd have to go fucking figure out where you were standing.
So here it is, and we've done it. And they say, well, on the news, they said
that doesn't look like 10 miles or 100 miles.
It's 57 miles.
You got, how the fuck you see that from 57 miles?
It's 57 miles. We're zooming in with a zoom camera. And
it's a zoom.
Yeah, it's a zoom camera. And they say it's a mirage. So we had 2 of our guys that went there, rented a boat, zoomed in on it, and then took off and went 50 miles across the lake, and it never changed. If it was a mirage, it would have disappeared at some point.
How would it be a mirage?
Well, that's what they said. That this is the Glober arguments. This is what they said on the news.
I've never, like, in other words, how do I verify that? Like, how do I know that's 100 miles away?
If you look here, you can't see anything, but when the sun went beyond it, it backlit the buildings and you could see them. But when the sun wasn't there, you couldn't see the buildings. Again, you have to understand light obfuscation. You have to understand foreshortening. You have to understand angular perspective, things that they do not teach you in school.
Now, Chicago from Indiana Dunes, 55 miles away.
Yeah.
Now, again, if I'm in Indiana Dunes with my own eyeballs and I saw that and then had a fucking science major with me and a calculator to figure out, okay, if the Earth is then that means every 40 miles it would drop down 2% and 2.
Well, no, it's more than that. It's
whatever it is.
Yeah.
The mathematics would be like, if it's a globe, you should not, if the calculations
100%,
are correct.
Do the calculate. We're using the Pythagorean theorem, which is proven. Right. And
but that's a squared plus b squared equals c squared.
Yeah. But that's using the radius of the Earth. It's a curve calculator. And yes, the formula that we use is a parabola. After like 2,000 miles, it loops in on itself and it doesn't make sense. Nobody can see 2,000 miles. We're going to where the formula that we use actually gives the globe the benefit of the doubt because we're rounding off in the globe's favor and we can see too far. What got me was seeing, I was about to say this before, as we could see too far. So I went out and Nikon in 2014 had just come out with the P900 super zoom camera. And so I went and spent $1,000 on that. Tripod, got a perfect day at the beach, perfectly calm, cold. It was beautiful. And I zoomed in on a buoy that was over 10 miles away. At 10 miles, there's 66 feet of curvature. So if I was 6 foot tall, and I wasn't, I was like 2 feet tall. Not only could I see the buoy, I could see the surface of the water beyond the buoy.
I know, but the 10 miles doesn't seem that far.
But the Earth is too big. It doesn't seem that far. 66 feet of curvature is required at that distance.
Based on the measurements.
Based on the
I'd
measurements.
like to see that math.
It's not, I got the Earth curve calculators right in the app.
Yeah, I need to know the math because, again, if I am going to believe it like you do,
Yeah.
I'm going to have to see that
You're going to have to know it.
All those things that you showed me are facts,
Yeah.
not somebody with a fucking
And I'm
clever,
telling people, I'm just pointing to a whole bunch of doors. I want you to go in
I'm
them.
gonna go look. But I can't go on excursions and actually verify
You don't have
this
time. So here's the
shit. Yeah, but
thing.
isn't any of these, Dave,
Yeah.
isn't any of these easily verified with your own eyes?
100%. You don't
Like,
even
I wouldn't
need
say go get my app.
You don't even
I'd
need a
say
super
go
zoom
to
camera.
the fucking dunes
Yeah.
and look across, and 55 miles away, you will see the Chicago buildings. And that I can do.
Yeah.
And if I see and I verify, damn, that is 55
Let me ask you a
miles.
question. If you don't see it, does it mean the Earth is a globe, or does it mean that the atmosphere is a little thicker that day?
Well, it means I can't see.
Because
but if I took a camera out and I went,
yeah, but it
and it's
depends on the
there,
thickness of the atmosphere. There's certain days that you can't see it, and if there's waves, like a 2-foot wave a mile away can block an entire city from you. So if you can see it, the Glober answer is refraction. But here's the thing.
yeah, but you could also put something up 25 feet in the sky, like a green laser, like build a 25-foot, stick and then shoot it directly across, and you should be able to see it in fucking New York.
Well, not true. You can't see that far. One, because of the angular resolution, and light attenuates. It doesn't go forever. We're not Superman. We can't see forever. The air, as I showed you with the sun fade out, the sun, brighter than anything else that we have, literally can't push through the soup of the atmosphere. So reflected light can't. There's a place in Illusia, France, that twice a year, you can see Mount Canigou 175 miles away. And at that distance, the top of Mount Canigou should be more than a half a mile below the curve. And you can't see it except for 2 days a year when you got the mountain in the distance and the sun's migrating into Cancer and out to Capricorn. And twice a year, it backlights it. And so as it goes away, it backlights it, and there it is.
See, now what are those dates? And where's those locations? Because I will go and I will sit
again. We Can See Too Far section has all the information in there. All the videos are done in there. Here's the thing, Brad, you're a busy guy. You got a great schedule. You're not going to take the time to do this, but while you're having your tea in the morning, watch the daily video. While you're stuck in traffic, throw on a video. Saturday night, you're putting your feet up, watch one of the documentaries. The crash course on my website is phenomenal.
I'm going to go look at it just because it's interesting.
Yeah.
And if I find anything that I think, because like right now, all your answers.
You know what's going to convince you? The amount of trolls and bots that show up in your video calling me a scammer, saying that my app uses globe math, saying just everything. My app leaks. They're going to say all of this leaks data. Here's funny is they did the hack my app last year, but the only data you put in there is the data that you want to share with every other app user. There's nothing personal you put in there.
Yeah, I've already downloaded your app.
Yeah. So just watch every day. There's a featured video.
It's hard to use,
If you long press any button, it'll tell you what it does. If you long press a button, it tells you what it does.
I got you.
So that's how you can learn. But every day there's a featured video. Today's video is really awesome. Amanda Vollmer schools this space scientist guy.
How many flat earthers do you think exist in the world?
Well, in 2017, they did a survey in Brazil, and they asked flat or globe, and they came out. They estimated 11 million people said it's not a globe.
Okay, then why don't we ask all 11 million people for $20, and we'll have $220 million to prove all these things?
Yeah, because it doesn't work that way. It's hard to get people to click the like button on a video that they're watching.
$20. I'll be the first one. But I mean, like, seriously, because what would solve all this shit?
Yeah.
There's rockets that high schoolers use that can shoot up in the sky. Now, I don't know if they can go 72 miles.
No, it can't go 72 miles.
Well, fucking Elon Musk's can. Can't they?
No. The Elon Musk is full of it. Again, watch my NASA nonsense video section on the app.
So all these rockets that are taken off, right? they can't go 72 miles.
Most of them aren't even real. They're filled with helium. NASA controls all the helium in the world.
We have missiles that can.
We have missiles.
They can fly 950 miles.
Yeah, that's a missile that's shooting across the Earth.
Why can't it shoot up?
Because
it can shoot across. Why can't it shoot up?
Because going across with lift, it's getting lift from its fins or wings. It can going up away from gravity. It can only go so far. All NASA rockets curve and crash into the ocean. All of them.
So how did the people that you said were exploding bombs to see if they could break through?
This was NASA. They were shooting rockets up at the firmament in 1950s called Project.
So how could they do
Fishbowl.
it then?
Well, that's NASA with all of the money and all it costs millions and millions and millions of dollars to do that. And again, if you tried to launch a rocket that size, you would be in some serious trouble and you might even kill some people, Who knows? It's not an easy thing to do.
What about helium balloons going straight up forever?
We sent up lots of balloons, and we did a balloon in Arizona. And I'm trying to get people to do it again because the YouTube deleted everyone's videos in 2017. We had 4K cameras looking up, and it was a beautiful night. You could see the Milky Way. And then they let the balloon go, and as it's going up, it should only get clearer, right? The stars should just get brighter, if anything, right? Well, by the time it hit 60, 70, 80,000 feet, all the stars disappeared.
See, where's that footage?
That's why I'm trying to get people to redo it. Again, that's the first thing I'm going to fund when I can is I know the one guy that he's very good at these balloons, get him all the equipment, send up multiple balloons. But we send balloons up and we see a flat horizon when we use a non-fisheye lens. You asked me how many people, this is a number of people just on the East Coast that have my app, which I say is less than 1% of the flat earthers that are out there. So that's 200
flat earthers.
25,000.
Here's a call. Go. Well, give it to me, not Dave, and then I'll give it to Dave just so I can take my piece. But I would say send me $100 each.
Yeah,
I'll put it in a bank, and when we get 100 million, let's go do some experiments. Because to me, I think this could come to a real quick end if people listening, especially flat earthers, because you guys are the ones that are the minority. So I would say to you guys, why don't you band together? Because I know there's some. I know another guy, and I've heard other people say it. I think you're the most known of them because you're the one that's most out there saying it.
I've focused my laser focus on it more than anybody else. I'm not the leader of anybody. I'm just a guy doing everything I can because I want a better future for myself and for my kids and for you and for everybody else.
If everybody knew?
Because we would be back in God's world and we would be away from the Satanists not playing on their ball model with their fiat currency.
Well, that wouldn't be necessarily what happens.
Sure,
what would happen is y'all would get killed.
Well, that's what you believe. I don't believe that.
Well, dude, if they can control all the shit they control, they're not worried about your little hot air balloon trick.
I think again, they know I had an experiment that was literally weirdly shut down. I had a guy that had 3 private jets, and we were going to do this, prove that when you're in the southern hemisphere going west, that you still have to correct to the north rather than correct to the south. We're going to use a gyro compass to dead reckon west. And on a globe, you'd have to turn to the left to maintain west. On a flat Earth, you have to turn to the right. And the guy vanished as soon as we bought the gyro compass. He disappeared. He was all psyched to do it, and then he disappeared. I can only speculate. Maybe I can only speculate that they threatened to make him poor or worse, and he just disappeared.
So, flat earthers, listen. Go follow Dave, but band together, you guys. Band together. And pool some money, because again, it's a lot of money for an individual, but together, it's nothing. It's $100 each, and now you can once and for all save the world. Because, like I said, I for one want it to be a flat Earth because the Bible says it's a flat Earth.
I want the truth.
I want the truth, but I would prefer that it's a flat Earth. Why?
Sure,
because that would make my final confirmation. Other than I already know, but I don't know. I believe there's a difference to me. Like when I said, so you think the flat Earth, the Earth is flat, and you said, I know it is. Well, again, I would argue that you don't know it because you haven't went and done all these things. More accurately, yourself.
I can prove it's not a globe, a lumpy wet rock floating through an infinite space vacuum. That can be proven.
By what?
every law of physics. A lumpy wet rock in a space vacuum with high pressure air stuck to it, adjacent to a void of no pressure. There's no experiment that you can do that shows that pressure can be separated. High pressure and low pressure will make wind and they will equalize.
No, but just because we can't do it doesn't mean God can't do it.
So God created a lumpy rock with air stuck to it, flying through an infinite universe. These are Glober arguments. They're kind of silly. I appreciate your skepticism because I don't want people to believe me. I want people to take the time and effort. But people, as I said, we want the easiest way, and the easiest way is not to think about flat Earth because it changes everything. You know, what difference does it make? I still have to go to work on Monday, is what people say.
Yeah, but like aliens, for example, there's been no proof of aliens, but then you listen to the government now, and they're like, well, in reality, yes, there are, and we have evidence.
Of course.
Well, then if there's aliens, where are they coming from? Well, now people are saying, well, they're coming from the ocean. They're coming from the center of the Earth. They're coming from beyond the Antarctic ice wall. Dude, I ain't got time to fucking worry whether there's aliens or a flat Earth or a globe Earth, but I would want there to be a flat Earth because that would coincide with the Bible. So the Bible says that there is a firmament, and if there is a firmament, then the Bible is correct. So when you say the reason why they don't want us to know is to basically create doubt, well, dude, Satan, which is a supernatural individual, right? Satan's a powerful son of a bitch. So if that was his goal, well then, dude, this all makes perfect sense, and that's why those son of a bitches are doing it. But when you think about anything else, it just doesn't make sense. Like, why would anyone care if we lived on a globe or it's flat?
It makes all the difference in the excuse me. It makes all the difference in the world because once you understand that you're at the center of creation and ground yourself, you have a much clearer, better connection to the Creator.
Yeah, that's the only reasonable thing, and makes me go, that one makes sense. Nothing else makes sense. Like, they're trying to convince you so they have control. Dude, they could control us on a flat Earth.
Well,
just
what if there's more resources, more lands, other technology? I think that computer chips come from other lands that we're unaware of. I think that
who's on those lands that are making them?
Good question.
Are we all fucking experiments over here? Are we all the dumb kids?
Maybe the Mayans are there. Maybe all of the old civilizations. Maybe they all migrated outwards. If we live here,
why would they leave us here?
If we live here, and this is Antarctica, this is just speculation. Out here is extra territory, extra terra. So if somebody lived on the extra terra and came to visit us just a couple thousand miles, those would be extraterrestrials from the outer space.
Sure they would. At least we'd think they were.
At least we think. Who knows what's out there? Maybe the fallen angels are out there. Maybe the Nephilim are out there. I couldn't tell you because I'm not going there, but it's weird that all of our world leaders on the weirdest times go to Antarctica. They disappear for 3 days, then they show back up at the station and they go back home.
See, has anyone found out why they all go do that?
Nope.
Has anyone confirmed that they do that?
Yes. Know who did it? John Kerry did it on election day, like 2 elections ago. I forget. But they all go down there. It's weird. I think that's where the real leaders of this world are. But
you would think eventually, Dave, somebody would get pissed off enough, even if it's the flat earthers or the globalists, and just spend the damn money to prove it. Just like if I said, I got a 12-inch dick. Eventually, if I was getting all the publicity and all the things, everybody would be trying to prove me wrong. So eventually, someone would throw my ass down, yank down my pants, and see.
So what are you proposing that we do that's practical and doable?
Band your money together and do one of these experiments publicly. Like, dude, we got streaming video. They're not going to shut you down. They're not going to kill everybody.
I like my laser experiment. We had another one with more technical about airplanes that use this beam that comes from the airport. And it proves that there's no curve.
Are there flat Earth conventions?
There is. I just came from one in Arizona last week.
How many people were there?
It was small. These were 2 new conventions, and I saw one in Texas, a couple hundred.
So where's all the millions of people you believe?
Well, people just don't pick up and go to convention. They're all over the place. I mean, I have 226,000 people on the Friend Finder. on my app. And that's not even all the app users.
But people believe in Jesus. And when you put on a Jesus convention or crusade, hundreds of thousands show up to support their belief.
I get it.
So how come flat earthers don't stick together if they're so damn convinced?
Because they're so paranoid, they literally fight each other half the time. It's amazing.
Huh.
Because some people say there is no more land out there. I don't know if there's more land out there. I think there is. I have no proof of it, right? But we don't need to speculate what's beyond 60 degrees south to prove the shape of the earth. We don't need to look up in the sky and speculate what the sky is to prove the shape of the earth. If there's a circling sun in Antarctica, it tells us how well we understand the sky. It doesn't tell us anything about the earth. So, all the flat earthers together know that we're not a ball floating in space, but we have different ideas. And you know, people are so, once you know how much you're being lied to, you get a little paranoid and you start accusing people. Think I am a government shill that's been implanted here for a decade. I'm Mossad. I'm an agent. It's crazy. I don't give any attention to that, right? You have haters. Do you even know who they are? Right. I don't care. Right?
I know they're wrong.
Okay. And you're the only one that knows they're wrong.
No, everybody that knows me knows they're wrong.
Well, how do we know you're not a deep shell agent that's going to be activated in the future? You're the only one that knows.
All you got to do is ask me.
Well, if you're an agent, you would say no. Are you an agent?
No.
See? You're an
I tell
agent.
The truth,
that just proves you're an agent because you said no.
I almost want to be an agent. Like I would be.
No, but that's my point. My point
what
is,
are stars?
I think they're angels.
Okay, so when you look up in the sky and you see all those lights, those are angels?
I think so.
Okay, maybe. When I look through a telescope, because I've looked through a telescope and I can see what looks to be like a faraway planet, that's not a faraway planet.
It's a wandering star.
Which is an angel.
Could be.
Why would
That's
an
my
angel be
opinion.
wandering?
That's just me.
Why would an angel be wandering?
Oh, well, no, those are the fallen angels. The planets are fallen angels.
So fallen angels are round and red.
Well, they're all different. Every star is different. This is a star. Right?
That's a description of an angel.
That's
right
a
there,
star.
the last one.
A wheel inside a wheel. Right. That's what Ezekiel says. Where to go? Come on. There's a stars section on the app.
See, what are those? Where are you seeing those?
These are stars that we zoom in. Today's consumer optics have outgrown their heliocentric lies.
So why would they be so foolish to let that happen? If they can control everything, why wouldn't they control lenses?
I don't think they're as smart as they think they are. I think they actually tried to. The Nikon had the P1000, the highest zoom camera, and they just stopped making it because NASA did a contract with them to have a camera specifically for NASA. But then something happened, I don't know, and they started making it again, I think. But again, you can go out and film this stuff, and we can zoom in, and the size that you can make a star versus another one that you can make the same size, and the other one is 100 million times bigger and or farther. Like it doesn't make any sense. Again, the stars section in the app is absolutely amazing.
Do you have exercises people can conduct themselves in the app?
Yeah, there's an experiment section that shows you how to do it yourself.
Okay, well, I'm going to go do those.
Okay.
They just can't cost me millions of dollars because I don't care.
No, it doesn't. It just costs you the time you have to, and when you go there, the weather has to cooperate. So there's a good chance it won't. Too hot, too foggy, too wavy, windy. All of these things will hamper your distances. We can do a mirror flash. So the sun is setting behind you. I'm across the lake and I flash the sun at you and you can see it. Now that's a direct line of sight observation. And we did that over 26 miles. Doesn't sound like far, but if you do the math.
Do you have walkie-talkies when you're doing this?
We have cell phones. We have cell phones. Come on. Where are you? In the 1980s?
Yeah.
You're in the 80s?
Like you doing it recently?
Yeah.
How do you know your cell phones aren't fucking tapped?
They are tapped. They're listening to everything we say.
Folks, listen, you guys know where to find him now. Website's flatearthdave.com. Website's Flat Earth Dave. You can follow him at flat.
My X is Flat Earth Dave X, but all my socials are on the website. So all you have to remember is flatearthdave.com. The app is at the top. Check it out. Watch the daily videos. Check the question mark and win the 3 Bitcoins. That's the challenge.
You should make it 4.
You know what? I had it at 1 Bitcoin back.
Why
in the,
3?
I'll tell you why. Because one
certain no
Bitcoin was at
you.
like 20,000 or 30, whatever it was at. And so I made it 1. Then Bitcoin crashed down to like 10,000. I said, you know what? I'll make it 3. And then it went up to 110,000. So 3 is fine. Okay.
So basically, people can get 330,000 with the potential of it being worth millions.
Yeah.
But as of today, let's say $330,000 if you can bring him proof.
1 scientific proof of the globe.
That the globe is real. And
Exclusive
again, Neil
to the
deGrasse
globe.
Tyson, go tag anybody that you guys think could prove it. And again, otherwise, it's speculation. I think you're both, like when I say you're both, because like I'm not flat earth and I'm not really globe. I don't know and I don't care. Because again, if I were to pick who I want to be true, the flat earthers. Why? Because that would make me convinced. Because you're correct, dude. If everybody knew we were on a flat earth and there was a dome over us, dude, there's no other explanation than we were created. And so if that's the case, the whole world would become religious. Now, a lot of people are already religious, but they're like me. They believe, but they don't know. Like once you know,
I think that's the number one reason they're hiding it.
But that may be because once people know, like they're no longer controllable, and that's
100%.
Just like if I said, "Hey, I know a buddy of mine that invented some shit," and I went up and I went up and I went up and I went up and I look back down, and sure enough, motherfucker, it's a ball. I've done it. I would be convinced, and I would take pictures, and I would say, I'd come back down and say, "Dave, you're full of shit. I went up there." But until I can do that, I can't say you're full of shit and I can't say they're full of shit. But when they try to feed me that in 240 BC, some old bearded motherfucker figured out how big the earth was. Shut up. You can't even figure out how big Texas is.
I'll tell you that the disadvantage that the flat earth has is this takes time and thought and energy. But if you look at all the flat earthers, we all understand there's a creator. We're all, no matter what conflict it's caused in our lives, our relationships, our friends, it's worth it because the truth is coming out, and you know, eventually your friends are going to come around. There's so many people waking up to flat earth, and it only makes you better because when, you know, and not that I was a bad guy at all. I'm a better guy now, way better. I've learned unconditional love for everybody. It's because of flat earth.
Well, because of the creator.
The creator brought me there. Right.
And now you know that you're supposed to love one another. You know
that we God is sending us signs all the time. It's just whether you see them or not. Right. Let me tell you, my earliest memory is in school was either first grade or kindergarten. The teacher brought us outside to teach us about gravity. He got a bucket of water on a rope and swung it around and said, "That's gravity." Right. And I said, if the earth is a ball, and I had the globe, I said, the water's on the outside. I said, so you'd have to turn the bucket the other way and spin it around. And the teacher goes like this with his big beard. He goes over, gets his book, and he shows me the heavily highlighted section in all different color highlights. And he reads it to me. He goes, "That's how they tell me to teach it. So that's how I'm going to teach it."
Because he don't know.
That's what he said. And then I went over and played on the swing. I specifically remember, I was like, okay. And so I look at that. Why is that the earliest memory I have of school? Besides the time I hit a kid in the head with a block. Because he took the block I wanted. I think that was the creator saying, "Hey, you're going to be on this mission, Dave. You're going to go to college. You're going to dominate in the printing industry. You're going to dominate in the solar industry. And then once you're the CEO of your own company, making more money than you ever thought you'd make, you're going to walk away from it all to preach something that brings people to God." Right. But I don't preach flat earth as it's in the Bible, because if that's how I heard about flat earth, I never would have looked into it. I'd be listening to a podcast. These guys are great, taking notes, 3 pages of notes. And at the end, they go, "Let's read a Bible verse," or "Let's pray." I'm like, oh my God, religious fanatics. I'd tear up the notes. I'd unsubscribe and I'd never listen to them again. So my job that I feel, no one has told me, my job is to bring people to understand that the earth is flat. Therefore, they know there's a creator. And that's where I draw the line. Your relationship with the creator is completely yours and it's no one else's business. You know, I brought my own bomb noise just in case I didn't get one. I was going to play it myself, but thank you.
Well, I can only drop bombs when I know there's facts, and that's the thing. Like I'm not I'm not denying what you're saying. I listen to everything. I have an open mind. I think I'm more open-minded than freaking a lot of people. I would need to go confirm those, just like I would need to confirm these global people, but I've never confirmed that either. I've just chose to believe it. And when it boils down to it, whether it's like God, like a lot of people go to church, but they also cheat on their wives, and they also freaking steal, and they also do some shady shit. Well, why? If you really believed in God, why would you do that? So you don't really believe. You chose to believe. You don't know, because if you knew, you'd never, ever do that. Like if I knew, shit, I might not even be doing this. I'd be sitting around in a robe, reading the book, trying to figure out exactly what he wants me to do. But I believe. I'm choosing to believe. I'm pretty sure, like it can't be unreal. But I don't know. If I knew, I would be following every letter of the frickin' book. And I don't care if everyone thought I was a nut job, and I wouldn't care if anybody hated me, and I wouldn't care if my wife left and my kids left and everybody thought I was the craziest and I was poor living under a bridge, because I'd know that I'm saved. And so at the end of the day, that would be the most important thing. And I wouldn't give a shit what this earthly fucking bullshit is about, because it's not very long in the big picture.
I think
Hold on. Let me just finish my rant.
Sorry.
So like, that's because I'm being honest with people, and I don't know. I just believe. And I think that's what the flat earthers are doing. You guys don't know unless you've been to fucking space or the dome or Antarctica. You believe. You're choosing to believe, and you're choosing not to believe, which may be the wise choice, because again, I know government lies. I know it could be true. But then that's what the globalists believe too. Because if you believe some dude back in 240, who fucking said? There's no one alive that can say I was there, I met him, and he was a brilliant man. There was records, and records could be falsified, and like over time, and come on, time. 240, you're telling me someone in 240, they didn't have fucking plumbing, but yet they figured out how big the entire planet was, and that there's suns and the stars, and they're heliocentric, and there's speeds, and shut up. No, they didn't. Okay, that's bullshit. Just like landing on the moon. We didn't land on the fucking moon. Not in the spacecraft and the footage they show us. That's for sure. Now, if we did, they didn't show it to us. You remember when they showed fucking, I forget who it was, Nixon or somebody calling them?
Yeah.
Oh, we can call the moon?
Yeah.
We can call the moon. We can talk to them on the moon, huh? Shit. And that rinky-dink little fucking flimsy ass fucking moon landing unit that then they showed the car. Where'd the car come from? That thing was in that little pile of shit thing that landed.
Yeah.
Where was it? Did they have to assemble it?
Yeah.
Were there little tiny pieces and then they assembled it? Bullshit. Not only that,
where the batteries, that's everything.
But globalists will tell you, hey, there you can shoot a laser to the moon, and it will shoot it back from you from where they dropped the mirror, and 3 different, China did it, and all these people did it, and it's there, and you can see it on cameras. And I'm like, okay, again, I'm not a closed-minded person. I'm not just going to not believe. Show me.
So,
like, where do I go get the laser, and what point do I put it? Let me see some shit.
Only NASA can do it, and they send out like 500 quadrillion photons, and then they get one back, and their computer goes bing, and they throw a number at you.
Yeah, right.
Think you could fake that?
I'm with Kim. I'm with Kim Kardashian. Okay. Moon landing. I guarantee you. Well, again, I don't know. I've been there, but I don't believe we landed on the moon in 1969.
Yeah.
And if we can get to the moon, can't we get to the what do you call it? Firmament? Is the moon within the firmament?
I think the moon that we see is within the firmament.
So it's below the firmament.
I think so. I don't know. I can't make a
because if you
solid
shoot
claim.
and you just head towards the moon.
But it moves like a rainbow. We all see it in a position personal to ourselves. So I have in some of my interviews, please watch some of my interviews. Go to my interviews tab in the app or on my website where I do multimedia. If I cut this room in half, I had a blue sheet hanging. Okay. And on the far side, we're both on the same side of the sheet. On the far side of the sheet, I had a bright light. We can both see that light on the sheet, but we'd see it in 2 different positions. You'd see it here on the sheet, and I'd see it here because I'm standing here. So we're both seeing the light, but in 2 different positions. That's how we see the sun. Everyone sees the sun in their own personal position. It's interesting.
It is interesting. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go read this book.
That's a image. That's just a picture book. It's good. A coffee table book. My
And you
nephews picked it up and they became
Can
flat
you buy
earthers.
those on your website?
No, that one that's just a picture book that I made. And one day I'll
you should
publish
sell
it.
those though, because
I
that's
know.
interesting.
Yeah.
Because when I talk to people about the flat Earth, they're like, "Oh, it's stupid." And I'm like, "Yeah, but have you heard like some of the things they ask?
Yeah.
Because they're like legitimate questions, and I want to know. Someone answer these for me, and then let me figure out who I want to believe."
The preponderance of evidence is it's just becoming undeniable. But
Yeah, but you know that the evidence or the absence of evidence is not evidence of absence.
The one thing you're going to see is you're going to have a lot of flat earthers commenting. You're going to have a lot of anti-flat earthers commenting. But I want you to click on their channel names, and you'll notice that 99% of the anti-flat earthers are empty channels. They're bots. They're trolls. And on the flat earther channels, those are real channels with real content and stuff.
Yeah,
so they're real
probably
people.
with open minds, and
Yeah.
these are good questions.
Why are the anti-flat earthers have empty bot channels?
Why do they get so pissed off over a flat earther? I don't get it. Like,
I think
why not just be open-minded and listen to their question and then try to explain it? And again, if Sartain was here, because
I debated him. You can find it on the app. Just type in Sartain on the search field on the magnifying glass and type
would
in.
you debate him again?
No.
So
not because I'm afraid of him, because he's ridiculous.
I know, but like, I want to bring you back, but I want to this time bring a very like Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Well, he won't come. Neil said he'll never talk to flat earthers. He said that, but you can try. But if I come back, I'm going to bring somebody with me.
Well, I'm gonna close some people, but they have to be credible.
Yeah,
because like, not the. Well, I mean,
Before
I don't
you-
want an argument. I want a real.
I want a
debate.
discussion, a real discussion. I don't debate.
I don't want name calling.
When you come to debating, people come with, this is what you have to believe, and this is what you have to believe. A discussion. Let's discuss the points.
Or let's go do an experiment that you say will prove it, and then let's bring them with us.
Yeah.
Because again, this doesn't seem like something that should be this difficult to figure out. Like you guys are saying, look, man, you can see 57 miles away. And according to the thing, now, if they come out there and they're like, holy shit, well, you can't argue that. How do you argue that? Now, if they start going, well, that's because you're not taking into account the refractionary bend of the visual blah, blah, blah. Shut up, dude. That's like saying the dude in 240 fucking
let me say something about
size
refraction.
of the earth.
This is real important about refraction. They say that if we can see it like Chicago, it's refracting up. I believe in refraction. Refraction will squish things. It'll warp things. It may even lift things up. But if there's a physical thing in front of you blocking it, there's no refraction because the light isn't making it to you. If you and I were outside,
can't see the other side of a basketball, Dave.
No, if you and I were outside and I ducked behind a hill, or there was a 10-foot wall in between us, a brick wall, what weather condition would have to come for me to pop up above that wall? None. So refraction, their calculations, everything, cool story. That's only for line of sight. Refraction happens on a flat earth. Not as crazy as they say, but if it's out of your physical sight because there's something in front of it, like the curve of the earth, it's never going to refract because there's no light to refract.
Yeah, I'm not saying there wasn't any refraction. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying if there is an actual curve, like let's say Detroit, like right now, if you could see Australia from the opposite side, that's impossible. I don't care what you say. Now, you can't because it might be too far away.
Well, we saw the moon above Australia with the Go Fast rocket in Arizona.
But to me, it's like the one where you're 10 miles out. Like, dude, this is a pretty big fucking planet. 10 miles.
10 miles
you wouldn't
is
think there's
66
massive
feet of
amounts
curvature.
of freaking curvature.
66 feet of curvature.
Well,
that's a lot. That's a 6-story building.
So when I drive 10 miles, I've already curved 66 feet.
It doesn't feel like that, right?
When am I on the side of the earth?
In 6,000 miles. So doesn't feel like you're curving. You know why?
Because we're not on a fucking
Because you're
globe.
not curving. It's flat. That's why. It doesn't feel like you're moving. You know why?
Because we're not.
The sun and the moon look like they're the same size. You know why?
Because they are.
Okay, they seem like they're close. Do you know why?
Because they are.
Yes. Do you seem like you're at the center of creation?
Well, yeah.
Do you feel like you're created by a creator and you didn't come from pond scum?
Yes.
Okay, everything they teach us is the opposite of the truth. It's inverted.
I can't bomb that. That's not a fact. I do believe I'll bomb that we do have a creator.
Okay. Thank you.
That I will bomb because that I believe is a fact. I believe that's a fact. It's too crazy for it not to be a fact.
100%.
And you cannot explain anything without one. There's no way we just popped up and shit. But anyway, I'll have you back. I'm going to try to bring you back though with someone else, and I want to put together a real one. I'll approve it with you.
Okay.
I want to make sure that there's no arguing and name calling. I want you to make your statement, and then I want them to combat that. But it'll probably, be that's not true, and that's not true, and then I'll say I was right the whole time. You don't know for a fact, and you don't know for a fact. You're both just choosing to believe what you've chosen to believe, and that's why I stay the fuck out of it. Why? Because, dude, we're not going to be able to prove it until some people get together, throw some money in the ring, which I'll be happy to do if there's enough flat earthers or enough globers, and let's do it. Now they're going to say, look, talk to Elon Musk. He's went up. Talk to these guys. They've went up. I know, but like if they're in on it, well then obviously.
Please watch my Elon Musk
but why
videos.
would Elon care? He's rich.
Is he rich really? Dude,
so now
he's
he
just
ain't
an actor.
Rich?
He's just an actor. They're all actors on the stage.
Why didn't they cast me in that role?
Well, you got a much better role here. You're doing a great
I would
job.
much
You're
rather
talking
be
to great
cast
people.
As Elon
no,
Musk.
you would not.
If all I had to do was bullshit some people about whether
Look
the
at
Earth
Elon
is flat
Musk.
around.
His body looks like his truck. It's literally the same body. Okay.
Hey, I ain't an Elon physical fan. All I'm saying is I would much rather be Elon Musk. If someone came to me and they said, Brad, all you got to do is play this billionaire. And dude, just don't tell people the Earth is flat.
Brad, you don't want that.
All
You're a guy
I care
that wants
about.
truth. No, that's not all you care about. Stop it.
No. I'm saying if I were them, that's what they were saying to me. Just you can do whatever you want. You can shoot rockets and you can go to Mars, wink, wink, and you can do whatever you want, and we'll give you billions of dollars. I mean, billions. But just don't tell people the Earth is flat.
Brad.
I would go easy.
No, that's not true.
Yes, I would.
No, you're too good of a guy. You would not do that.
Make me a bad
You'd like
guy.
to think it does make you a bad guy.
Why?
Because it just makes you a bad guy. Dishonest.
Now, if I knew,
and you're hiding the creator.
If I knew the Earth was flat, I would tell people.
Okay.
And if they killed me or took my money, oh well. But again,
there you go. Good attitude.
I'd be one of these like, dude. The Earth's flat.
You asked about conferences. I'm speaking at Antarctica, which is their 11th year. It's in Puerto Vallarta in February. There's probably 50 speakers there. And they're not all flat earthers. But the first year I spoke 2 years ago, so this is my third year, I was a little nervous. I'm like, okay, maybe 10% of the people there. All like 49 of the speakers were flat earthers. And when I asked the audience, which was like 600 people, I said, who thinks the Earth is a globe? Like 6 people raised their hand. So this is a truth that is out there that many people that know aren't even talking about it yet. So other people that are watching this that have podcasts, have me on. Let's have a deeper discussion. Let's go deeper. I do.
How much deeper can we go?
Because when I'm doing it through Zoom, I have videos and proofs. Everything I talked about, I could show you. I could show you Elon's rockets, and you'd be no longer touting his praise.
No, but I did see a couple that when you saw it shoot up, it looked like it busted through something.
Yeah, again, I do very good multimedia stuff. I've done over 1,400 interviews since 2022.
They're all in your app.
They're on the if you go to the web button, which is the more resources page, it says interviews. You can also find the interviews tab on my website. Check it out. I was on Roseanne Barr. I was on Jim Brewer. I was on InfoWars. I was on Veritas Radio, Coast to Coast AM.
Those are facts.
Those are facts. I was my over under was 3 and I got 4, so I'm very happy. Thank you.
Who bet? Here.
I bet. Thank you,
dude. I'd have been giving them the whole time if I knew.
I understand. I appreciate it. Listen, this is a great conversation. Anarchapulco is you want to learn some truths from health to freedom to, everything. It's an amazing thing. And you're in friggin' Mexico in February. What's better than that? Yeah.
Are you on the side of the planet or?
There's very little curvature between here and Mexico.
All right, good.
Airplane flies straight and level over the Earth plane. Here's a little fact for you. And I got pilots from major airlines that all talk to me. They're flat earthers. Pilots 125 miles from the airport, and they say, okay, it's time. We're going to descend. Everybody's seatbelts on, and they have to figure out how many feet they have to drop every mile to hit the runway. Well, that's a flat Earth calculation, but if the Earth was curved, the runway would be 2 miles below them. 120.
And if it was spinning.
We're spinning with the Earth. It's ridiculous. But They don't calculate the curve. In 125 miles, there's 2 miles of curvature. They don't calculate for that.
Yeah, they definitely navigate with a flat Earth map.
Yeah.
And in the schools, they used to think it was flat Earth.
Right.
That's why in 240 he figured out the size of the Earth, but they were teaching flat Earth like way after that.
They were teaching it in the early 1900s here in America in public schools.
Yeah, and
my interview with Ruth.
And these old maps that you see, they're a flat Earth map.
All maps are flat.
Yeah. Folks, but I do have a globe in my office. So,
of course you do. Of course you do.
Folks, you guys know where to find him. David Weiss. Thanks for coming in, buddy. Until next time, guys, keep it real and keep it truthful.